Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and as always, here with my husband, Noel. He is doing our graphics and our cameras, taking care of all that stuff behind the scenes. Happy Friday. Hello, Southern Charm, Reclaim Vintage, Crystal's Vintage. I saw you in here this morning. Good morning, Kelly. Happy Friday, everybody. I am so glad this week is about done. Pine tree, I can never talk. Pine tree pickers, good morning. Is it going to be one of those days where I'm going to stumble over my words all morning? I hope not. All right, let's get going with our normal housekeeping stuff. It's Friday, yes, and it's, I don't, you know what, Isaiah, it's been a long week, but it hasn't. It's been a good week. It hasn't been that stressful. Just a normal week. Next week, I am going to be on somewhat of a vacation, so I'm looking forward to that. So my daughter is, those of you who come around know that my daughter is a competitive cheerleader, and we are at what's called Summit Time. So this is the big national championship cheerleading competitions. Crystal, you decided to go to work, not to go to work. Oh, yeah, no, stay home, be safe. So, absolutely. So we are headed down to Orlando, Florida for a week to go to cheer competitions, which for 3 days, it's not a vacation. For 3 days, it's sitting at the ESPN Center, surrounded by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cheerleaders. This is one of the biggest competitions. But then we are going to take a couple extra days. We're going to have some fun in Orlando, and we're going to swing by Georgia and see Southern Charm 7, who is up there in the chat. So we are looking forward to that, hopefully catching dinner with her and her husband. And maybe doing some sourcing in Georgia around where she lives. So we are very much looking forward to that. Yeah, I know. I can't wait. So that's next week. Anyways, let's talk about this week. Tomorrow is my glow show. You can see behind me all this cool glowy glass. What part of Georgia? I'm not totally sure. I've asked Southern Charm a million times. Maysville? Am I right? Maysville, maybe? I will find out probably. The way I operate on things like this is 2 days before I'll be like, hey, text me your address so I can figure out where I'm driving to. So, Southern Charm, put what part of Georgia we're supposed to be going to. So, glow show. Oh, are you near Savannah? We used to live in, we lived in Brunswick, but not a lot of people know Brunswick, so I say St. Simon's Island. So we used to live just south of Savannah. Good morning, Tober. Oh, and Brunswick is like an hour from Savannah. So we're probably, it depends which direction you're going. We were south, so, oh, that's cool. It's so, isn't it it's such a small world that you get on something like Whatnot, and then you start realizing, oh, I used to live an hour from you. One of our, the CEO Challenge participants is in Jacksonville, Florida, and I lived there for 23 years. Oh, you're in South Carolina? Okay, so you're just north. Awesome. Well, we might be driving straight through there, heading down to Orlando. Good morning, Thrift Times of Charm. So, glow show tomorrow. If you guys like glowy glass, everything is behind me. It is all preloaded, so everything is there in the shop for tomorrow. So you can always go in and put pre-bids if that is your vibe. Yes, we're going to Orlando for a cheer competition. We'll be at the ESPN Center we won't be there for a week. We'll be there for 4 days. I am in Pennsylvania, so I am southern Pennsylvania, just south of York, east of Gettysburg. So we are right on the Maryland line. I can drive about 10, 15 minutes and be in Maryland. So we're just right at the very bottom, almost smack dab in the middle between Philly and Pittsburgh. So I can go either way. It's about 3 hours for me. I like it here. I love it. The one thing I don't like is the cold. I've thought about moving to where it's warm because I am not a fan of the snow. Actually, it's not the cold. I've been dealing with winters just fine until this last winter when the snow got crazy. The snow was bad this last winter for us. So it is. So normally I would fly. I used to drive everywhere for vacations. I was oh, I'll drive 15 hours. I'll drive 20 hours. It's fine. I used to do that all the time. And then I got to a point in my life where it's I don't want to give up 2 days to drive. I'll just fly. However, going to Orlando, it's going to be the three of us. So it's me, Noel, and then our daughter. And once we get there, when I started adding up plane tickets, then I would have to get a rental car. And then I also want to stop in different places on the way home. all like trying to like make the stops I want to on the way home was going to be impossible, trying to fly and keep renting cars at different airports. So I decided it was easier to drive, but I'm not really looking forward to the actual drive part itself. Good morning, Rawson. All right, what else are we doing? You guys, reselling roundtable. We're going to talk about two big things too before we even start the main topics today, which I'm sure you guys know they're probably both. Well, one of them's on your head. Let me just make a note. Reselling roundtable on Sunday night. If you're not already subscribing, please go check us out on YouTube. It is myself, I Love Discounts, and Green 13. And this week we are talking about selling styles. I think it's going to be a really great conversation because we all have drastically different selling styles. 6 hours. Yeah, Kelly, that's a decent drive to me. You can stop, get lunch. It's not too bad. Fun fact, for those of you who may not have known. So Gatlinburg, the Gatlinburg area of Tennessee is my absolute favorite place. That's not the fun fact. The fun fact is Gatlinburg, Tennessee, for the majority of the United States, is about an 8-hour drive, give or take. It is one of the most highly visited places because of the location of where it is in the United States. Most of the states can get there within 8 hours. I always thought that was kind of a cool little piece of information. So if you ever wonder why it seems so touristy, that's why. Anyways, totally off topic. That was total squirrel, but check out Reselling Roundtable if you have not already. Really good conversation. I think it's going to get better. And then there it is right there. And I'm going to take this off. Oh, no, I'm going to leave that on for a second. I want to talk about that listing. It is a lot of fun. I totally agree. Tuesday night is our final CEO. We're allowed to scroll on whatnot. Thank you, because I'm scrolling all morning right now. I think I've got on like 5 or even more scrolls. Okay. CEO Challenge Tuesday night. This is our final showcase with our final, our first 6 participants in the CEO Showcase. It is their final kind of like wrap up. They're going to be talking about all of their metrics. Where did they see growth in the 5 weeks? What did they like? What did they not like? What are they going to change about their businesses? They're also going to be selling some stuff. So Tuesday night is the last of the first season of the CEO Challenge. And I already have not applications, but a list going for the next season, which is going to be in July. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's already plenty of interest. So we are going to run it again, completely different challenges for July. If you are interested in participating, just shoot me a DM. I don't have the application put out yet, but shoot me a DM. I do have a list of names going, so you can be notified right away when that is ready. So that is Tuesday night, and then the next season is going to be July. We're going to be doing this once a quarter. All right, what are we talking about here? Let's talk about the big changes. You know it was coming. Everybody on Whatnot, everybody on Facebook, everybody on Reddit, and any other like forum place that you can put stuff is talking about carrier changes. Everybody get their email? I got my email. Southern Charm texted me yesterday, and she's like, hey, I see it on my Whatnot. Go check your Whatnot. And I went, and sure enough, mine was there. If you have seen it, I am sure if you're a seller, you have clicked into it and noticed a ton of, maybe not a ton, but probably noticed some adjustments. Not that we're being charged yet. What Whatnot is showing is, hey, historically, this is where you've been at. These are the things we've paid on your behalf. I was quite surprised. So what they're doing along the top, they're going to give you the last 30 days. So they're going to say, okay, within the last 30 days, this is what you would have been charged. This is what we covered for you. And then there's a few more months of information just for informational purposes, so you can kind of dive in and see what your habits were and see maybe where you may need to tweak some stuff in your process. I have butterfly distractions too. Oh my goodness, yes, I'm there with you, Rosin. I am right there with you, 100%. So I was quite surprised. The last 3 months, I would have had $4.20 of adjust, or the last 30 days, $4.20 in adjustments. That's not too bad. Most of those were, I put 11 ounces on my shipping label, and the post office calculated it as 13 ounces. So like a 2 ounce difference. Now, I have 2 things to say about that. One, I am a tad bit confused by that in the sense that 11 ounces and 13 ounces is the same price. Was this center email? Did we access both? There was an email that came out yesterday. I got the email around 4:30, 5 o'clock in my time, Eastern, and then it just showed up on when I go into, it's not on analytics, go into your shipment screen on your computer. That's where I see mine. I haven't tried on a phone. If anybody can see it on a phone, please put it in there because I haven't even looked. I don't know. But if anybody who does know, please feel free to add into the chat at any time. So I am a little confused because 11 ounces and 13 ounces is the same price and whatnot. So why would we have to pay additional money? However, I do know that at the summit, they did say that every ounce matters, that they are counting by ounces. So those of us who are like, oh, it's 2 pounds, but I pay the same rate between 1 and 5 pounds, and I don't need to make it, 3. Like if you weigh it, it's 3 pounds, but your label says 2, you're like, oh, it's the same price. Well, don't do that anymore because I think it's going to matter. Looking at what I looked at last night, it is going to matter. Even if we think it cost us the same, the post office doesn't know that, and you're going to get hit with charges. So let's just make sure everything is dotting your I's and crossing your T's on all of your shipping stuff. Yeah, post office for what not? It's the same. Post office calculates different. You would think there'd be some reconciliation process in there. There's not. I'm not going to say a whole lot about that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is what it is. So I'm going to make sure I'm doing what I need to do so that I'm not charged. Yeah, and not one time has there been a problem. Exactly. So Tober, I kind of agree. Here's the other thing. Good morning, the Thrifty Cottage. Here's the other thing is I noticed not in the last 30 days. The last 30 days, like I said, they were like 1 and 2 ounce adjustments. Totally get it. I agree. But I started digging back to look and see, and there is a handful more of, for like the last, I don't know how many months. And there was a couple that were significant. When I say significant, like $4 charges. And so I would look at one and it would say like, I said it was 108 ounces and Whatnot said it was 130, or not Whatnot, Post Office says 130 ounces. Well, I'm like, if I'm going to take the time and be honest to say that this was 108 ounces, why would I jip it like 30? Why would I do that? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I know that I weigh it and then I change my weights. So there were a few that I felt were very questionable. There were a couple, and granted, it wasn't money out of my pocket. It was just informational at this point. I did feel that it isn't as accurate as it possibly could be. So I'm like, okay, Tracy, that could just be you. You're getting defensive. Let it be. But then I heard from somebody else on text. I won't name the person, but I heard from somebody else by text that they felt that some of their stuff wasn't accurate. Then I was watching shows last night, shows of people that I respect and, feel that they're good, honest people. I have no reason to not believe what they're telling me. And those people were saying the same things, that they felt some of the adjustments that were shown were not correct. That they're like, look, I know I'm doing things the right way. And and when I'm telling you, these are people that I have experience with that I know shit properly. We're saying the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, now I feel a little justified. So what do we do about it? I wonder if we need to get our scales checked. Crystals, I could see scales being off an ounce or two. Scales are calibrated differently. I can understand my scale maybe being off an ounce or two. I'm totally comfortable with that. I can adjust for that. But everybody's scale is off? Like, that's where I was getting at. Like, it wasn't just me. There was like multiple people. I feel like most of my charges would have been from the 5 free adjustments. Does this mean they won't? No, actually, Reclaim Vintage, in the, if you click on that screen and there's like a little information box, they actually say the 5 adjustments are remaining. They clearly state in that little information box that the 5 free adjustments are remaining. They don't give any indication that they're going away. Yeah, how are the scales at USPS calibrated exactly? How is this? In Tober, I don't know. I'm very confused by it because, look, we're all human. I totally expected to see a couple of adjustments on the history there. We all make mistakes. I know for a fact that I looked at one of my adjustments, and it was actually a box I sent to Southern Charm, and it said like 5 ounces, and it was like 5 pounds. My fault. I totally did not change it, not on purpose. It was purely a mistake. We all make mistakes. That may happen once in a blue moon. That's what I expected to see, although these like really far outliers, not what I saw. So And I'll take, if it's my mistake, look, charge me. I'm totally up to owning my mistakes. I don't think there's something, I don't want to say fishy because I don't think it's intentional. I think there's just something off in a calculation or a program or something somewhere to have so many people saying the same thing. Seems like it's going to be, same. So seems like it's going to be, he said, she said. Okay, he said, yep, take a pic. So here you go. Southern Charm made this suggestion. You're telling, go, oh, Southern Charm, don't report me. Southern Charm made this suggestion to me yesterday because we were talking about this. And I told her, I'm like, I'm giving you all the credit for telling me this first. So she suggested when you, just like what CLB is saying, when you pack your box totally up and you know you're weighing it for that last time, no, even before that, you pack it up, you weigh it. But while you go to scan it, when we do our in-app scanner, set it on your scale and do the scan so you get the label and the weight. This way, your picture is retained within Whatnot. You don't have to figure out a system to organize that and keep all those photos, right? It's retained within Whatnot attached to that order. So then 4-6 weeks down the road, if an adjustment shows up, it's going to show that order number. All you have to do is click on it, and it's going to take you right back to that picture. Because the other side of this is we don't dispute, if we see these, we don't dispute it through Whatnot. Does she? Yeah, Zodi does it say, yeah, and it's perfect. I loved this idea. I'm giving Southern Charm credit because she's the one who told me, and that's where I heard it. But totally think it's a great idea. Natural State of High, if she's been doing it, genius from the start. I'm going to start implementing that. That's the way I'm going to do things, because other than that, how in the world do we argue with this? How do we fight? How do we dispute a charge? We can't, and what I was going back to is we can't dispute it with Whatnot. We have to dispute it with the USPS. There's a link. Hello, Lori. Happy Friday. There's a link in the information, like on that tab, and you click on information. There's a link for you to dispute it with USPS. Hotel lobby. Hello. Here's the thing, though, you guys. If you go to dispute it, how much effort and time does it take to dispute a dollar charge? Like if they charge me $1.10, how much of my time am I going to spend to dispute that? If it happens every hit or miss every now and then, okay, no big deal. But like there's going to be a trade-off here. Like there's going to be a point where it's like I keep disputing these, you know, so I don't know. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not worried. Do the right thing. We shouldn't have anything to worry about. That's all there is to it. But my eyes were opened a bit yesterday when I saw this, and I was like, okay. If anyone figures out where to find the shipping adjustment chargeback info on a phone. Yes, if anybody knows if it's on a phone, please share. I don't do that stuff on my phone, so I can't give you any thoughts on that. So I will be taking a picture on my scale, and I feel that taking a picture on the scale, I was thinking about this after I heard it from Southern Charm, is that if they try to say, oh, well, your scale's not calibrated correctly, I'm shipping out hundreds of packages a week. So you're going to tell me that week that if I had a charge, in that week, the other 99 packages were all correct, but that one my scale messed up on? So I think we have some validity in our volume that we're doing. And when I say volume, I just mean number of packages. You know, more enough to say, look, these were all right here. How could it be off on this one? What I don't understand is the ounces. If there are 8 ounces, yeah, Amber, and that, I don't quite get that either, but I do understand that the post office, they don't know Whatnot's agreement, like all their machines and stuff. So post office calculates different than Whatnot. I still think that's funky. I still think that should be taken into consideration and fixed, because we shouldn't be charged that. But in order to make it right, I'm going to make sure that it is spot on. I'll probably add a couple ounces just to be safe and cover any calibration issues with my shipping, my scale. Is the date range they gave for your adjustments? You had no sales. You had no sales and they had adjustments in there? That's weird. Now, I know it's like 4 weeks after, 4 to 6 weeks is what they say after your show. So it takes time for that to go through the system and come back onto your screen, adjustment screen. How much do they make? Exactly. Yeah, if all of us are like, oh, it's just $1, I'm not going to fight it, that's a lot of money. Do I have a USPS scan in front of you? Tober, a scan, a US. Do I have one for like a box to scan? I'm not sure what you're asking. The date range for adjustment is February, and I know that's really weird, Reclaim. See, now those are the type of things. Oh, do you? I don't go to the counter. Okay, so here's the other thing for me. I don't go and get receipts. Normally, I have 40 to 80 packages that I'm shipping out. I fill up the whole bed of my truck. I go to the back of the post office and dump them in the bin. I don't get receipts for mine. They won't. There's no way that they're going to scan that many for me. So I can't even like get the receipt and go back and double check. And yours are always scanned and weighed at the counter. So keep those receipts. So that's the other thing you can do is keep the receipts instead of having to take your picture. I just don't do the receipts. You do the same, dumping up in the bin? Yeah. So, look, I don't think this is a major change, but we knew it was coming. And this is a good change, you guys. I'm just here to talk about, hey, this is what's happening. This is, the things I'm seeing. I'm fully in support of this change because there are so many people out there misusing the USPS system through whatnot that it affects all of us that are doing it the right way. The more of these sellers that are out there saying you don't need to change your box size or your weight, the more it's hurting us because ultimately whatnot's shipping rates that they have with USPS is going to go up because of things like that, which then affects every single person on this app, every buyer, every seller. So I'm 100% for this. I just want to make sure that the information is correct when when it's going through. I am on board with complying with all of the rules and doing it all the right way. Let's just make sure that it's right everywhere. Yep, always change your weights and measurements. So, and if you've noticed, if you read into any of those screens or the email, they say that the dimensions are coming by the end of this year. It's going in stages. Right now, they're focused on the weights. It clearly in black and white, straight from the Whatnot email and in the information box on the screen, it says dimensions will be added by the end of 2026. And we're already into the second quarter. So it's not within a few months, we're going to see the dimensions added on there also. So make sure that we're measuring, doing all the stuff that we're supposed to do. And when you measure, if it's 12 and a half inches, it's really 13. You've always got to round up, just in case nobody ever mentioned that. You always have to round up. You can't round down because the post office rounds up. So that was kind of like the big elephant in the room everybody's talking about. Let's see. Oh, I don't know why I'm getting hand signals again. I'm not sure what for. Yeah, some sellers say don't change it. We're going to do what's right. We are team change everything that we're supposed to change. The post office is going to start charging $2 for every adjustment. Law was just passed. Oh, that's interesting, Southern Charm. Very interesting. So even more reason for us to do what's right there. Okay, I'm about to get rid of this back call that's on the screen, but before I do, I wanted to mention Auntie Barbie. There she is. Whoa, Auntie Barbie. That was not set up. That was like timing. I just looked over and saw your name. Auntie Barbie suggested to me to put a schedule of all of these shows. We're here Friday morning, 7 a.m., but to put all the titles, like what we're talking about, because I do have them planned for the whole year. So they are there on my back call. You can open up the one that's on the screen, and I have it in the pictures. If you by chance purchase it, you don't have to. You can just go and look at the picture and get the titles. But you can also, that's what you're going to get along with the sticker or postcard if you purchase it by accident. But if you are interested, if you're like, oh, I wonder if she's ever going to talk about this, there is a full schedule on the back call listing in the pictures that you can screenshot or just take a look at if you have any curiosity about it. So I'm going to go ahead and unpin that. That's why I was leaving that up for so long, because I wanted to remind myself to talk about it. Okay, CEO affirmation cards. These are our giveaways for today. It is running. We're just going to keep running them as long as I can remember to do so. One more thing I want to talk about. There is and I heard this last night. I was in Tober's show last night, in her chat show, and it came up about emails. And I've also heard it in other like community host shows and stuff that it is being said that it is against the rules to ask a buyer, as a seller, it is against the rules to ask for a buyer's email. Technically, it is not against the rules. I'm going to tell you what part of it is against the rules. Let me explain. I'm going to give you all the information. Do you have the Whatnot Help that you can pull up? Okay, we're going to pull it up and show you. The Whatnot Help, the Whatnot Help specifically says it is against the rules to ask for the email address to buy, sell, or exchange or something. We're going to get the exact wording here. We're going to pull it up. What they're saying is to take any transaction off of platform. I can't ask for somebody's email to say, okay, I'll email you a link so you can buy it over here. So there's a difference. If the full transaction is happening within Whatnot, Whatnot's getting their fees, money's being exchanged through Whatnot systems, the sale, everything is happening in the Whatnot system. Then it is okay to say, okay, give me your email address for delivery of this product, like in a PDF or an e-gift card. Now, you do have to know to put that in the listing up front so the person knows that in order to purchase this, in order to access a PDF, in order to get the e-gift card, I have to give my email. So they have to be able to make that choice that they're willing to do that on the front end, okay? And then the whole transaction happens within Whatnot. It is then okay for me as a seller to say, can I have your email address so that I can deliver your PDF by email? The only thing that's happening outside of that is I'm sending an email. Whatnot's got their money, the transaction, the payment, everything went through Whatnot. That's what they're trying to avoid, is things not going through Whatnot, because that's how Whatnot earns their money, right? Now, there's my husband. Good morning, my love. Now, if I were to say, hey, you guys want a PDF? Email me. I'm going to send you a link and you can buy it over here. That's what's wrong. All right, right? It's under this. It says direct messages for buyers. So this is where it is. We always like to back up what we're saying. We still have to send something. So when people buy a PDF from me, you're going to get a postcard, a sticker. You're still going to get something. So here it is right here. And what I really want to focus on, all messages must follow community guidelines.
Good morning, Tober.
It says, keep buying, selling, and payments on Whatnot. Don't ask or accept payment purchases outside of the platform. And then at the very top, this is the big one. Don't share personal contact information to move transactions off platform. This includes phone numbers, emails, and social media. As long as a transaction is happening on Whatnot, you are okay. And then report users. So I'm not seeing anything else. Okay, report users, yeah. So report users who ask to move transactions off platform. So see the difference there? There is a big kind of difference in how that's being handled. So it's not the fact that they ask for the email, it is the movement of a transaction off the platform. Everything has to be done through Whatnot. This is another reason why you have heard me say in the past, and I am a big proponent of it, is that even with things like refunds, that I prefer as a seller to, even if it's going to give me a ding, to go solely through Whatnot and not to PayPal people or Venmo or send cash or make deals on the outside, because even something like a refund, I don't want to take things off platform. I want to keep it all on the platform. So it is on request and email to provide them with a free gift card. Yeah, so if your gift card's going to be if you're doing like an Amazon e-gift card, I can't talk, a gift card for Amazon. Oh, my husband's going to explain it. He's like, you're stumbling. Let me explain this.
Yes, she's making it more complicated than it is. So, community guidelines is not terms of service. They're community guidelines, which tells you be careful about people asking for any particulars, or what is called PII, which is personal identifiable information, your name, your address, your phone number, your email address. You need to be careful who you're sharing that with. Now, it doesn't say we prohibit for you to sharing it. Ultimately, it's your responsibility if you decide to share it and who to share it with. Now, we all are in the same boat. We've met in person, we exchange information, and in some cases, some of us have shared phone numbers with other people. So if you feel that you can trust this person, you can trust this seller, and you're going to share that information, just keep in mind that is your responsibility because you're deciding to do so. Whatnot is telling you as a guideline, please keep in mind that this could be dangerous. Now, if you're gonna conduct business and you require the email to be able to share or send something to the buyer, and you can articulate that you're not taking anything outside Whatnot, then it's my opinion that it should be able to continue. You should be able to do so. You have any questions, my suggestion is do as we did. Send an email to Whatnot, ask your question. Hey, I'm conducting business this way. I'm not taking it off platform. Is this okay? And then have them reply to you on an email saying yes or no. This is going to back you up in case something happens. You already have something written by someone in Whatnot saying yes or no.
All right, thank you. So that hopefully that clears things up. CLB, congratulations on that giveaway. He was talking, so I didn't want to interrupt, but congratulations, thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
And, who else did I want to say hello? PBJ Bargains, good morning. Can you pull that back up one more time? Because I think, was it Tober, you said it's confusing because the first bullet. I totally agree. But scroll down a little bit. The first bullet says, keep buying, selling, and payments on Whatnot. So it's really focused on the transaction itself, on taking the transaction off. So it's okay, kind of going back to that what's happening here is I think people are saying don't give your email or it's not allowed to ask for an email, but it's not the rest of that sentence isn't being said. So that's what I wanted to point out. Hopefully all that makes sense. And then Amber says, okay, thank you for sharing that. Amber says, well, what if they don't give you they don't give the email? So if you do an electronic gift card and they don't provide the email, as a seller, what I would do, I would have a backup. I would just have a card there ready to send because you're still held to the standard of sending something within 2 days, regardless of what your customer does. And I'm going to give a perfect example. And I don't do this as email is just a delivery system. It's like a delivery, like USPS is a delivery system. Exactly. Great way to put it, Southern John. I'm going to give you an example of how, as a seller, we're still required to meet our responsibilities regardless. We sell live seller links. We talk about them all the time. I'm always trying to, show you guys these so you can buy them from me. That requires, in order to set those up properly, that requires an email address and it has to be set up. Well, in order to do that, I have to have communication. So if you buy that, we communicate in order for us to set it up, get your logo, do everything you need to send it to you. If that communication isn't timely, if I don't have that within 2 days, I still, as a seller, have to, no, you did not fail us. I, as a seller, still have to ship within 2 days. So what have I done? For me, to protect myself, we have a letter. I created a standard letter, and if I can't get this product, ready in an envelope because I'm not hearing from you, I send a letter saying, hey, please check your emails. We want to process this. We want to fulfill this. Thank you so much for ordering. But I have a 48-hour shipping requirement. I am shipping this to meet my requirements. As soon as you provide me those details, I'm going to have your order out within 24 hours. So we still have to figure out a way to comply with everything in the right manner. Thank you on the music. And thank you for being here, The Thrifty Cottage. It sounds like maybe it'd be easier now to send it does. I typically will send traditional cards. The only time I do e-cards, I usually even don't do e-cards unless I'm on a rate train, and the only time I do is because I haven't had time to go and pick up cards. For me, it's a backup plan because I'm out of time. Not clear why Whatnot will not contact us through their own message system instead of taking part by using email. Yeah, I don't know, Faye West. That doesn't make sense to me either, unless it's, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate. I have no ideas. I do not know why. Yeah, that's a really good point. The e-card is that it tells me when they redeemed it. Yeah, you have a little more proof. You can actually save some files so it's easier to defend yourself. It's not like, oh, it got lost in the mail, I never got it, and you can't really prove that on a PWE. So, all right. Good morning, Scuba Stevio. All right, we spent a lot of time talking about all kinds of stuff, but those were the two big things that were completely off my topic today that I did want to address because there's just been a lot of talk about them. let's talk about our main topic today. So we are going to talk about building show routines that reduce stress. All right, tax topic's going to be about supplies and equipment. We'll get to that later. But this building show routines may not sound like an exciting topic, and it's something we've talked a lot about before, about show flows. However, it can drastically change the way you're doing your shows. It can have a huge, huge impact on your business. Let's see who's going to get that giveaway. Hi, Kimmy. PBJ, congratulations. That is going to you. Do you need this, Crystal? I don't know. Well, let's see. We're going to go through. Good morning, the Cozy Old Farmhouse. First of all, who here has experienced decision fatigue? I hate making decisions to the point I open my fridge. I'm like, I'm going to eat that piece of cheese because that's the easiest thing in here. I don't want to think about things. All right, daily, yes. And think about it on Whatnot. What do I source? How do I ship? What do I put in my show notes? What do I there are a million decisions just to do a show, right? If you can make that easier, if you can eliminate some of those decisions, why would you not, right? So the first point that I have under this topic is routines conserve energy. Having a show routine helps conserve your energy and reduce your stress overall. So a routine is basically a decision that you don't have to make again. You make the decision once when you set up your routine, and you never have to make that decision again. How wonderful is that? I'll tell you what, this is why I have a smoothie every morning for breakfast. The exact same smoothie. So that I do not have to figure out every morning what I am eating for breakfast. Now, I'm a little OCD. I get it. I'm a little way out there. But the easier you can make things for yourself, the less decisions, the more mental power I have to put into the things that really matter for me, right? My husband's about to make some comment about my smoothies. Go for it, my love. What are you going to say?
Boring.
Boring, yes. So when you have a repeatable, and I'm going to talk mainly pre-show because we're talking about creating show routines. We're talking a little bit about during the show. See, look, Southern Charm has the same protein. I think me and Southern Charm are like sisters, and like we just didn't know it. Like we were separated at birth. When you have a repeatable show routine, you stop burning mental energy on things like, what am I forgetting? Well, where did I put that? What should go first? Where is my tape measure? Where are my labels, my stickers, my things to if I'm doing random polls to keep things organized. I've forgotten pens, charging cords. If you have a routine, all of those things are taken care of. And I'm going to give you an example of our routine. I'm going to tell you exactly what we do pre-show. Think about it like this. It's like a pilot that has a launch routine. Like pilots don't just show up for work, get on the plane first and be like, okay, what buttons do I want to press today? They don't do that. They have a checklist. They have a routine over and over and over again. Why? To prevent mistakes, to keep things safe, and the stakes are high. When the stakes are high, you want a routine. I don't know about you guys. You may think a Whatnot show isn't life or death. The stakes aren't high. Maybe it's not life or death. I give you that. But this is my business. This is my revenue. The stakes are pretty high when you're talking about how I make my money. So if this is high stakes for me because it provides a source of income, I'm going to make it as systematic as I possibly can to keep it like a well-oiled machine running like it should. Let me go through our routine. Before I tell you what our routine is, I want to say that the routines start before the go live. I literally thought you said pirate. No, not pirate. But I bet pirates have routines too. I bet there are OCD pirates at some point in time. Okay. Our shows start at 7 a.m. in the mornings, right? 3 days a week, we're here at 7 a.m. That doesn't mean that we show up down here. We're in our basement. I have a little studio space in my basement. Doesn't mean I come to my basement at 6:59. Nope. On our schedule, on mine and my husband's calendar, it's 6:30. Our show in our head, he's looking at me. For him, it's more like 6:15. For me, it's a little like 6:40.
6:15, I'm running late.
Exactly, Jackie. Why? So it is. She's like, are you sure about that? He's like way above ahead, and I'm kind of more last minute. He does more. I'm going to tell you what we do. He does more than what I do.
Thank you, Carolines.
So, good morning. The point is 7 o'clock, while that's start time for everybody on Whatnot for my shows, that's not my start time. My start time, when I'm going to set my alarm for to get up and make sure I'm in my basement getting ready, is far earlier. So you can have the best system in the world. If you don't use it, it's no good. If your show starts at 7 a.m. and you show up at 6:58, who cares what system you have? You're still going to start your show late, or you're going to miss something because you don't have time to do your system. So to give you an idea, when I'm talking about a pre-show routine, I don't have it written down. We don't have a checklist that we're going, okay, did you do this? Check. Did you do this? It's not that formal, but we do the same steps over and over and over again to where normally it's not a problem. We don't miss things. It happens. We're human. Jackie, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. Good morning, Daisy Lane. Well, the coffee.
Congratulations.
Yes, coffee first. That's my routine is get up and go make coffee. But here's what we do. When Noel comes downstairs to the basement, I actually wrote down, I thought in my head, okay, what does he do? And I'm probably going to miss something, but he turns on all the equipment. So gets everything ready. He checks the internet, making sure that our internet speeds are good. We're up to par. We're ready to do a show. He checks our sound. Are the mics working right? He checks all the lighting.
Yeah, she's got it all wrong.
Would you like to tell your routine and then I will tell mine? Let's do that.
I come in, I turn on the lights.
Oh, but wait, hold on.
I connect all the
You
cameras.
got to be in the bubble.
No, I connect all the cameras. Once the cameras are connected, because I don't want them to fail on just battery, then I start firing up the computers. We have 3. And then after that, I start turning on all the equipment that I showed at one point. With one switch, everything turns on. And then after that, I start calibrating everything: sound, video,
Music.
animations. And then finally, she shows up
Then I come.
with my cup of coffee. I give her a thank you. And then she sits down. She writes her notes, updates some notes. And then I remind her that she needs a microphone. Then she comes around, clipping a microphone, and then she sits back down. Yes, the star arrives. That's correct.
So basically, he comes down and he does all the electronics. Okay, so think if it's just you. You're going to need to build in time to make sure your phone is set up, it's on the stand, it's plugged in, all that stuff, right? So getting all the tech side as it should be, Crystal. That's right, as it should be. I come down and I have a totally different pre-show routine. So I am opening the show. I'm making sure the coupons are set up in there. I'm making sure my show notes are there. I have all my listings. I've done everything I'm supposed to with the show. I got my coupon set. If I need labels, I'm making sure I have the labels that I need, making sure that I have, the mouse, anything else that I need right here. I have notes if I'm using notes. I get the mic. We do a quick mic check. We make sure that, I do the 1, 2, 3, or I say something sarcastic to him and he's like, yes, I can hear you. And then when I'm about to start, we have a little routine. I hit go live, but before you hit start show, you click on the sound, you click on the multicasting, and then we go live. So there's a routine to all of this. And this is when I say routine. Now, some of you, good morning, Gabby. Some of you are like, I need a person to set all your stuff for me. I know, it is kind of nice. This is what I'm talking about. Now, it may seem like a no-brainer. This is like, oh, this is so simple. I don't need to come to your show to hear how to plug my phone in. All right, y'all, how many shows do you see that they start the show and they're like, oh, hold on, let me do this, let me do that, let me do that. There is quite a few shows that are not. When your show goes live, you should be ready like you are hosting a party, like you are welcoming people into your show. The minute you hit go live, you're welcoming people like you are having a party. You are not putting out fires. That's not the way to do a show. Yes, you were going to say something.
Yes, she's an expert on not charging her devices.
I never charge my devices. I'm terrible about it. Yep. Southern Charm says part of her routine is always check for app updates. Perfect. See, he does that for me. That's why I
That's
wasn't
right,
in
Jackie.
my
That's right. That's right. And then she's chasing her tail because her phone is not charged, about to die. And that happened to us one time. We were in the middle of the show, internet failed, and then what happens? The phone is on red.
All right. We all have that moment where we are looking for your tape measure or your labels or something, like we're a raccoon in a garbage can, right? We've all been there. I've been there. However, it's preventable. You do it a couple times and you get embarrassed in front of 40 people because you really do look like a raccoon looking for something in a garbage can, all stressed out, and there's 40 people staring at you doing that. That's enough motivation for me, at least, to try to be as prepared as possible, to try to have that pre-show kind of routine down so that I'm not looking like that.
Thrifty Cottage. So does she. Ask her where they are.
Oh my gosh, is anybody else I am so terrible about my iPhone cords. I am like, I lose one at least every single week. I am constantly asking my husband for new cords.
Oh my God, Auntie Barbie. Be careful, be careful. I was in Vermont one time and there was a couple of guys with an electric vehicle. I believe it was one of the newer ones. And they ran out of battery. There was no way to push that car anywhere. They had to have it towed.
Jackie, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. That's you to us. So I'm about to ask, because we're doing this here. What's the one thing that you guys always seem to be searching for in your show? If you're a seller, what's something you're like, every show you're like, oh my, what in the heck, where did I put that? For me, during my Monday, Wednesday shows, as surprising as it is my riser. Always looking for this. Tape measure or pen, Sharpies.
The funny part is that I always put it in the same place, but she moves it around.
That's the other thing. As part of your system, it's not just knowing what you're doing, is having a place for everything. Everything has its home, right? Good. Keep it up. Cozy Farmhouse, keep it up. You're on a roll. You're doing good. Flashlight did, yes. Oh my gosh, Found with Love Vintage, me too. Because I move that around too much. I break my own rule and I don't put it in its home.
Southern Charm, I lost that a long time ago.
Sanity. So having a place for things, I have a little like table thing right here. We keep like my cards, I keep pens, my keypad. My tape measure is metal. It goes right on the side of my table, so it should be right here all the time. My light's supposed to be right there. So trying to have things in the same place helps prevent that. And then if you're always putting it back in the same place, and this is where I fail, this is where I come short, just owning up to my own weaknesses here. But putting it back in the same place means you don't have to go searching for it throughout your whole show. I'm trying to work on that myself. So,
and that's where I come from.
That's when he gets over there and he gets mad at me during a show and he's like, oh. I can see it. He's like, every time I'm like, where did I put the flashlight? Right? Okay. Predictability reduces anxiety. Yes, same. Yep. It's that dang flashlight for me. That's probably my worst, is a flashlight. That and the riser during my Monday, Wednesday shows. All right. Predictability reduces your anxiety. So when things are uncertain or when you're like looking for something, that's when that anxiety starts to build. But when your show has like predictable anchors, so we just talked pre-show, let's move into the show. When your show has predictable anchors or spots where you know what's going to happen, that helps you feel a little more calm because you know what's coming next, right? Who likes to, think about it like this. When you go shopping at your favorite grocery store, you're in, boom, boom, boom. I know where the milk is. I know where this is. I'm going to grab this, grab that, get my cart, boom, 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 go up to the checkout, I'm done. But when you're out of town and you go into a grocery store you're not familiar with, you go slower, you're looking around, you're kind of stumbling, not physically stumbling, but mentally trying to figure out where things are. That's the difference between having a planned out show and having a show, or they rearrange it, yes, when they move stuff. So that's the difference when your mind, so having a show flow, having a flow to how you're going to do your show is like knowing your favorite store in your brain, right? It makes it more comfortable to move through at a good pace without the anxiety. You know what's coming next. You're calm. We're going to talk about how your calmness affects what's happening. So what does predictability kind of look like when we're talking about our shows? Consistent start time. It is easier to have a pre-show schedule when you have your anchor shows and you know when your show's starting. I know 7 a.m. 3 days a week. That means I need to be down here by around 6:30, 6:40, and if I'm going to have my stuff done. That a consistent start time not only helps my buyers, not only helps people know, it helps me be more prepared and ready because it's not 6 one day, 5 in the next, 10, it's not all over the place, which really is hard to do routines when it's all over the place. When I have the most problems, When I stumble the most, when we have the most technology issues, when I don't have things, is when we do things remotely. So if you've been around in my shows, you know I travel frequently for my 9-to-5 job, and I do a lot of my chat shows from the road, hotel lobbies, hotel rooms, wherever I can. Those are the shows, because they throw me out of my routine, that I'm always like feeling that anxiety and that scrambling with. It gets to a point when you start doing that routine, it becomes so natural and so easy that you almost don't even think about it. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. You don't have to make those decisions at all. That mental load is taken off because it just becomes memory, and you start to do it just nice and easy. So when we start, so predictability, the show times, consistent opening. This is a big one. We talked about this, I think, last week, and the CEO Challenge, they worked on this last week. Having what you say at the beginning be somewhat structured, something that you can practice, really sets the tone for your show. When you come into my show, you're going to hear me say the same thing to the point where you could probably repeat it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to... Oh, hold on real quick. Before I do that, let's see who won this giveaway. The Cozy Farmhouse, the Cozy Old Farmhouse. Congratulations. So my opening. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and as always, I'm here with my husband, Noel. He's behind the scenes doing our cameras and running those graphics. And then I go into whatever I'm doing for the day, right? Having that opening sets the tone. That shows I'm not scrambling around. I'm not like, hold on, everybody, let me grab this. Let me do the minute you come into my room. No, if I put that back call on and you come into my room, you're going to hear, hello, everybody, welcome to Zoe's Treasures. We are starting on the right foot. We're getting that show moving, right? That's important. That's what predictability looks like. People expect it, and I say it, right? It works both sides. And then we get into the consistent flow. This does not mean that you have to script out every little piece, but you have a flow. Maybe it is like you do the warm-up in your housekeeping. All of my stuff starts at the welcome, and then we go into housekeeping. Maybe you're doing some of your main items. You're going to build up to a feature moment. You're going to do a cool down, and then you're going to do a closing. Having that flow. You knowing that flow in your head helps you like, okay, I know what's next. I'm going to do these items. This is all makes your shows flow smoother. But I'm not talking about just from the buyer. I'm talking for you. Reduces your stress, reduces your anxiety, reduces what's happening. Unless he gets blamed for all the tech issues. Well, he's a tech guy, right? I want to ask. So I got two questions. This one is for you, for the sellers, and then we're going to ask the buyers. If you sell on this app, what do you prefer as a seller? Okay, for your own shows, do you prefer that? Look, I don't even know what's happening. We're just going to hit live and just hope for the best, or do you want to know exactly what you're doing and kind of have some plan on what's going on? So, chaos or plan? We have Caroline's is organized as a must. Yes. A little bit of a mix. Plan. Plan's winning out from a seller side. Controlled chaos. Plan. All right, now from the buyers. Now put yourself, you could be a seller and a buyer, but put yourself in the buyer's shoes. When you go into a show, what do you like to see? Do you want, as entertaining as reality TV can be at times, do you want to sit in a show that's kind of like this person is so unorganized, or this person kind of has their you know what together? Items in the shop. He's putting it up there. I just want to hear it. I just want to see. Chaos, yes, chaos gives you anxiety even as a buyer. I talk about that all the time. I totally agree. I like a live unboxing, but even a live unboxing can be organized. An organized shop. So, kind of just, there's, this is a small population here to have a really good statistical sample from. So long as it's not a scan show. Oh my gosh, forgot memories, totally agree with you. So, we're kind of leaning from the answers here, kind of leaning to people like plans from both sides. Depends on the day. Some days I'm okay with a little bit of reality TV, but not all the time.
Forgot memories. You'd be surprised. In some cases, I've been in shows that they utilize discounts very strategically. And so it's interesting to see it working so well, because it's not just necessarily continuously scanning. It's used very sparingly.
I agree. I am not a fan of scan shows. Personal opinion here, I am not a fan of them. I think you're losing valuable time. I think you're losing viewers and people who would buy, because there are a huge number of people who will not ask for you to show something. They're just like, look, if you can't take the time to run it, I'm not going to take the time to bid on it. And I'm one of those people. And the waiting. So there's two sides to every story. What my husband is saying is there are certain sellers, particularly like in the toy category, that will utilize scans. It's not the whole show, but there's certain pieces that they figured out a way to bring it in and make it an effective tool as part of an organized show. That I'm not against. I'm not against when you can figure out a way to use as a minor piece, an entertaining portion to an overall show that's not a scan show. There's different ways to use it. When I say I don't like it, it is purely the ones who are doing nothing but scan, scan, scan. Do you want this? Do you want that? I can't do those shows. All right. Structure increases confidence. All right, let's take the poll. The poll says too, 71% prefer planning. We're going to planning. All right. I've seen whole shows. Yeah, I don't like the whole shows. I totally agree with you, Forgotten Memories. And they need 3 yeses before they run it. Now, this is off topic, but this is a good thing to think about. Let's see who got that giveaway. Patricia, congratulations. You got that giveaway. Thank you for being here. This is a technique or a tool that you can put in your tool belt to use during auctions. If you have something and you're iffy, we all sometimes we're like, okay, I'm going to plan on running this item. Maybe it's a little bit higher value item. You're like, I'm not too sure. I've been getting mixed messages from the crowd, and you can't quite, good morning, the polish picker, can't quite read the vibe if you should run this high value item or not, because you're not sure if the bids are going to be there. And you're on the fence, because sometimes it's a clear no, I shouldn't run this, and other times it's a clear yes, things are popping, this is a good time. If you're on the fence, a good strategy is to say, hey y'all, I've been thinking about running this. Let me see at least, a couple of yeses in the chat if this is something that you're interested in. What that is doing, one, it's getting your chat going, you're engaging, you're talking. The other thing is letting you know as a seller, if you have enough interest in the chat where there may be bidding going on. If only one person is saying yes, you're like, I only got one yes, you guys. We need more than one to get some bids going. We're going to hold this for a little bit longer, and I may bring it out and ask again in a bit. That's a totally okay technique to use, that you're engaging with the chat, you're finding out what they want, because if you have 50 people and only one person says yes, guess what's going to happen? It's going to sell for exactly whatever you start it for. And if you're doing dollar starts, that can be dangerous on a high value item. But if you have multiple people going, yeah, I want that, then at least you're going to have some activity, okay? Or switch to reverse auctions. There you go. All right. Structure, when we're talking, all of this is about structure systems. Structure increases confidence. And I'm talking about your confidence. You can be the most egotistical, cocky person in the world. Doesn't always translate to having on-air confidence. Dumpster diva. Reverse auction is where you go start high and you count down instead of starting low and counting up. So, for instance, these items back here on the shelf behind me on the top shelf were from my recent reverse auction. I hold an item up. It's listed for, say, $100. We talk about it, we show it, and then I say, okay, $90, $80. When the chat hears the price they want it to start at, they put an R in the chat, and I run it for that price. So I'm counting down to a floor price. It protects me as a seller to get the margin I need, and it also gives the buyers a good deal and a chance to start something lower than what I listed at. That's a reverse auction. We also have them on YouTube. All of our shows are on YouTube. If you want to see one in action, you can go and check out one on YouTube and actually see how they're run. Okay, so structure increases your confidence, and I'm talking about your on-air confidence.
And by the way,
I go.
Our chats or shows are mostly multicast to YouTube. So if you miss something and you want to rewatch it, or you want to go back, or you came in a little bit later, you can always go to your YouTube channel. It's right there on the screen, and you can rewatch to your heart desires. So no need to pay for any stickers or anything, or buy anything to rewatch it and whatnot.
Exactly. All right. How many people here get nervous, because I'm going to give you an idea. Get nervous, feel you're an introvert, feel like I don't want the camera facing me. I don't do the camera thing very well, particularly at the beginning of your Whatnot journey. That was totally me. I've talked about how much I'm an introvert for a long time. Structure is good for buyers. I hate to be in a show where the chat exactly. Southern Charm feels that she's kind of either gets very nervous or more like an introvert. You can hear it. You can see it verbally. You can see it visually. The people who are nervous, they're fidgeters. They almost visibly shrink in the camera. You can hear voices that are shaky and not strong. You can hear very monotone. Just okay, I'm just going to get through this. I'm really scared right now. I'm just going to sell this mouse. It is very, very visible. The absence. I don't want to say the lack of, because we all have it in us. Good morning, Bourbon. The absence of that confidence, it comes through to your buyers and it affects your sales. So let's talk about how your structure could ultimately help in that confidence. If everything else around you is set in stone, you got your stuff down, you got your pre-show routine, you know what's going to happen next, that gives you a comfort feeling, minus a tech issue or something, but we can plan for that stuff, right? Automatically you're going in comforted. It's like if you have to give a speech at your 9-to-5 job or an athlete playing. They don't just show up on the field and do a stellar performance. They put hours and hours and hours into their training and their practicing. The same thing. I do public speaking at my job. I go around and I have to get on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Let's see who's getting, hold on, who's getting the giveaway? Ginger Patch, congratulations. That's going to you. Thank you so much for being here.
That's a great point, Rosan. Pretend that you're familiar with something and act like you're FaceTime your family. That's a great way to describe it. That way your comfort level is a lot more and you're not so nervous in front of the camera.
And Jennifer says, I can't decide whether to run things as auctions for my bin or buy now versus random pulls. I keep going back and forth. It's throwing me. And see, that's one of the decisions that you would make up front. That's one of those things that you would think, okay, I'm going to run these items. What is your show about? What are you doing in your show? So that's what, Jennifer, if I were you, that's what I would ask myself. Am I doing a theme show? Am I doing random vintage? If I'm doing random vintage, what 50 or 60 items do I want to sell? Run them. Put those in your auction tab and run them. If somebody wants them, they're going to pre-bid on them, or they're going to ask you for them, or they're just going to buy them the minute that you run it. And if it's in your bin and they're curious, people will ask you, especially if you open it up and say, hey, if there's anything in my bin that you would like a better look at, I am always happy to go and grab it and show it to you if you have that type of setup where you can easily get to items. So this is part of your running your show and having confidence to do that. Somebody, I think it was Forgotten Memory, somebody said, I like an organized show because I want to see the seller running the show, not the chat running the show. The people in the room should be there for the experience. They're not leading the show. That's my job as a seller. My job is to give you an experience, to lead you through your journey in my show. It's not your job to tell me what to do. That's a little backwards. That would be like going to work and you having to give your boss the instructions all the time. That's not your job. If that was your job, you'd be getting paid more. That's his job to give you instructions. So that's how it works. You are in total control of your show. What you sell, the flow of your show, if you take requests, if you don't take requests, if you do giveaways, if you don't. So don't go hunting in the garage, leaving dead air. Exactly, Auntie Barb. You're in charge. And you know what? Because you have a pre-show routine, because you have a show routine, that helps create that structure and that confidence to walk in your room and say, I'm running everything in my auction tab. I'm going to run it in order. This is the way we're going to do it. I'm going to start with the few items that don't have pre-bids. We're going to give a chance for people to come on in the room, and then I'm going to switch over to pre-bids and I'm going to run those in order. That's how I do my show. If that's not for everybody, okay. I understand that. It's not going to be for everybody. But the people who like my items and like me and like the show are going to be there and they're going to stay. That's the way it works. We get too worried and too caught up into pleasing everybody else. Customer service, yes, be kind, be nice, be personable. All that stuff matters, but not to the expense of your business. You're still in charge of your show. There's a way to do all those things and still be in charge of your show. We're too afraid of somebody leaving our room or somebody giving us a bad review. If we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're confident in what we're doing, there's nothing to worry about at that point.
Yes,
Yeah.
Auntie Barbie, but sometimes she's like, I gotta go get it from the back. And Noel is gonna be here and he's gonna entertain you.
I do. So, and here's like taking requests. I wasn't going to talk about that today, but if somebody asks to see something, I'm of the mindset, my selling style, what I do in selling is, if somebody is asking to see something from my bin, they are ready to hit the buy button. You don't ask to see something just to interrupt my show. I have never had somebody ask to see something just to be a nuisance or interrupt my show. The reason people are going to ask to see it is because they want to buy it, and all they need is another glimpse up close. As a seller, why am I going to say no? One, people will say, one, it interrupts your show. Don't do it, it interrupts your show. Yeah, I totally get it. I agree. It can. But you can also structure it in a way, you can have it organized in a way where it doesn't interrupt your show. You can say, yep, you know what? I'll go get that. In a couple of items, I'm going to run it for a little bit longer and give me a chance to grab that for you. Or, you know, I'm going to do requests, but they're all going to be at the end of the show. I would love to do this. Put it in the chat. We're making a list. And at the end of the show, we'll run all the requested items. Or you can just say no if you don't want to do it. I mean, I do it because that's what I believe in. The point is, it's your show. And having confidence to stand, you made that decision for a reason, right? You thought about your show. You thought about the flow of your show. You thought you took enough time out of your precious time to figure out, do you want giveaways? Do you want to do requests? What items am I running when? If you're doing unboxing, what boxes am I going to unbox? You took your precious time to decide that. You've made that decision already. Be confident in that decision.
Jennifer. hold on.
Empty Nest Creation, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Jennifer, you don't have to worry. Slow
Slow
down.
down. We're going to talk about being calm. I think that'll help.
Slow down. If you're in a rush, that's when the mistakes happen. If you slow down, things are a little bit more calm.
Yep.
You're a little bit more collected. You're not pressured on doing anything. And the chances of making a mistake are a lot less. So slow down. Have fun. People are coming into your show to listen to you, to look at your items, to chat with you, to have a good time. They're not coming in to bother you. They want to share in the experience. So slow down. Enjoy the journey.
Yep. So Faye West Designs makes a really good point. As a buyer, she says, just like in a jewelry store, you don't just walk in and say, okay, I want that ring. No, you're like, can I see that tray? I want to try a few on. I want to see how it looks on my finger. I want to feel the weight of it. You want to experience the item before you're willing to commit your money to it. That's what your buyers are going through, okay? All they're seeing is either what you're describing or a picture in a bin listing. They want to be able to experience the item to help them decide if they want it or not. Now, as a seller, it's a completely different story, right? Because we have a million things we're trying to keep track of when we're doing a show. So you have to put yourself in your buyer's shoes. If you know your buyers, depending on what you're selling, jewelry would be a really good example, but depending on what you're selling, put yourself in your buyer's shoes. Okay, so if a buyer asks, how am I going to handle this? This is part of your show structure. This is what we're talking about, figuring out these things and how to handle it. It all will help the flow of your show. You will hear people say, oh, but if I have a bunch of jewelry and they're asking for different jewelry things, all I can spend my whole day picking out jewelry, catering to one person and not catering to the whole. 100% agree. 100% agree. So do a Green 13 method. The jewelry's there in front of you. He's like, hey, we're about to run everything on this table. You want that ring? Great, hang out. We're going to get to it. We're running everything on this table. You are acknowledging their request. You're acknowledging their time in your show. Thank you so much for asking for that. We're going to get to that. We're running everything right now. You're letting them know that you're going to honor their request, but you're honoring their request in your systematic way. So there is a way to do both at the same time. You've just got to figure out the way that works for you that's not interrupting your show, but still treating your buyers with the respect that they want. If no bids and ask for input and nothing, thinking Whatnot, baby. Whatnot is for everybody. I'm going to say there is proof people selling everything on this app. If there are no bids and you ask for input, don't ask for what they want. You tell them what they want. Does a store, look at it like this. I'm going to give you an example. Does Target solicit you? Has anybody ever got a letter from Target saying, hey, what would you like us to sell you? I don't think they do that. You know what they do? They watch trends. They look at their historical data on what's sold. They understand the market that they're in. They select items and they put them up for you to buy. That we are no different. We may not be Target size, but the method is the exact same. We use our senses. We're observant. We look at the market around us. We look at what is popular among other sellers. I don't follow trends, but I'll tell you what, if I see a hen on the nest that is not a import, I sure as heck am buying it and putting it in one of my shows. All right.
Miss Jackie, if you're asking the audience for an input, sometimes it's advisable, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it comes across as you're not sure, and being not sure turns into not being very confident. So if you come across as not being confident with what you're selling or the price points that you're putting in your items, it might deter someone from deciding whether they want to buy from you or not.
Faye West, I'm going to answer that question. I just want to say one more thing about what we're talking about, how we're picking out our items. I'm going to tell you something that I've been doing recently, and it provides so much data for me in my purchasing, is I pre-list my show. I say, I'm going to start with a couple of these items that don't have bids, and then I'm going to pre-listed items. When the show starts, I may have five bids on a pre-listed items, maybe 5 or have bids on them, maybe a little bit more. When I say I'm working through my pre-listed items, guess what happens throughout that show? And I run shows of 50 to 80 items. That pre-list just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The audience knows she's running pre-listed items. If I want something and I want to get it now, I'm going to put a pre-bid on it. That pre-list gets bigger and bigger and bigger to when I finish all the pre-listed items, guess what? There's usually about just a handful. Out of all that's left, there's usually a very small portion, like maybe less than 10% of the items left sitting in my bin that did not get my auction tab, that did not get a pre-bid. You know what that tells me? That is the best research right there. That tells me that after that whole hour and a half show, these were the least desired items. I'm still going to run them. I'm still going to sell them. But it also tells me maybe that style of item is not something I want to buy for the next show. Okay? I'm doing a glow show. These are all pre-listed. There's going to be a handful, probably about 10%, that are at the end of that show that nobody put pre-bids on. That tells me to look at what color glass it is, what was the size, what was the style, what was the maker. Is there a commonality there of something that I may not want to buy for my next month's glow show? Look at what's around you. It's there. Your data is telling you what to do. You just got to be able to read it and understand it. Speaking of, Forgotten Memories said a B-Box. Y'all, I got a B-Box. I got a B-Box tomorrow for tomorrow's show. I'm so excited. We're about to get on topic. I got to show you. It's been sitting right here. So this one doesn't have bees on it. It is a honey box, but it is the same, and it glows. It glows like crazy. Y'all, I'm so excited that I have this. And then I actually have a real bee box, but not the top. I just have the bottom. I'm just on a desperate hunt for the top so I can sell it as a set eventually. But, all right, I just had to say that because I was so excited because I've been looking for one forever and ever and ever.
Yes, Southern Charm, finally.
I don't run pre-bids first, but I focus on pre-bids. So when I do my shows on Saturday mornings, I will start with a couple of items that don't have pre-bids, maybe 3 or 4 items, just depending on the room. What I'm doing is I'm buying a little time to have people come in the room. I'm just letting it warm up. We're warming the room up. We're getting the swipey fingers going. It's no different than when you go to a gym, you go to your gym and you do some jumping jacks before you get to lifting weights. You're warming up. Then after 3 or 4 items, maybe 5 items, somewhere in that ballpark, I switch and I focus solely on pre-bids. And for the most part, that takes up the whole show, and then I have a few items left at the end. I saw one in a show for the first time the other day. Yeah, $250. They are crazy expensive right now. Done research, family collection. Cool, die-cast cars, that's awesome. Yeah, try pre-listing. Particularly if you're new, pre-listing helps relieve the anxiety and the stress of making sure you don't mess up numbering or labeling. Take one variable out of that equation, make it as easy as you can, get the feel for everything, and then start adding complications. Doing random polls adds a complication. It adds a layer in there that if you don't already know what you're doing, is very easy to mess up. So I'm not against them. I'm just saying they're easy to mess up. I've messed up and had to go back and watch videos. I know this is, and I want to get to Faye West's question. Dan, give me 1 second. I'm going to answer your question. I want to talk about what Faye West said here. So Faye said, did the summit say anything about filling your shop with merchandise? They did. At the summit, Whatnot was pushing and pushing and pushing using bin items because of, one, they had a bunch of statistics. I don't have them in front of me. You can go, my last show, my Monday show, I talked all about the statistics. It's on Whatnot. But they said that bin items convert faster. If I remember right, it was like 40% higher average order value on bin items. And they're also hooking that up with Google. They're pushing to use and directing buyers to certain items in certain shops. So they're trying to make it, Whatnot's trying to make it so if a buyer types in the search bar, they're looking for a Ralph Lauren shirt, that they'll be able to look at all the sellers' listings. And if they go into your shop because you have a Ralph Lauren shirt, that shirt's going to pop up to the top of your bin. So it makes it easy for the buyer to buy what they want. So yes, Whatnot is pushing quality bin listings and loading your shop. Pre-listed took too much. It wasn't worth it. Look, pre-listing takes time. Again, what's your system? What are you trying to achieve? All right, Dan, I'm not ignoring you. I know this is remedial. It's cool. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk. But maybe you have a suggestion on how to keep people in your room, at least 10 as a newbie. Do you have? Okay, Dan, you do not have to do giveaways. You know what you need to do to keep people in your room? Be engaging. And when I say be engaging, that doesn't mean stand on your head and do cartwheels. It means, engaging means involve your chat. That's what engaging means. Engaging means is to involve your chat. Ask questions. One, have a structure. They don't like chaos. Know what you're doing. Have a system. Okay. Be confident in what you're doing. Doesn't mean rude or cocky. It's coming across as confident, not shaky, not scared, not withdrawn. Okay. Understand your items and to be able to show them confidently, and engage your chat. Talk to your chat, and then do this over and over and over and over again. Okay. You may not have people stay in your room the first 10 shows, the first 5 shows. It will work. Then what I would do, if you feel, hey, I'm doing all those things, the next thing you need to do, rewatch your show. How's your sound? How's your video? How's your lighting? What's the quality of your items? Then you need to start digging in piece by piece by piece to figure out what could it be that when a buyer or anybody comes into my room is not pleasant enough that they want to leave. Okay, that's my suggestion for you. And it just depends on you. It could take a long time. It could take a short amount of time. Check out, I do suggest, Dan, check out Reselling Roundtable. That's our YouTube. There's 3 of us that are on there, or 3 companies that are represented. Zoe's Treasures, I Love Discounts, and Green 13. We're 3 sellers, 3 different sizes, 3 different backgrounds, different categories. And we meet on YouTube right there. Thank you, Millicent. Millicent's just put it in there. And we discuss all these types of things about how to keep people in your room, all the things about live selling. And it's live. You can ask questions there and get 3 different responses, not just my response. So you're going to get different viewpoints. So you may hear something that clicks with you better than maybe something I'm going to say. Jennifer says, you're a little fumbly. I do this all the time in person. Figure out the disconnect here. If you feel that you're fumbly, I really think a lot of this comes down to confidence. And I come with this from personal experience. Is confidence isn't a personality trait. There's the Reselling Roundtable. Every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. YouTube. Thank you. Confidence is not a personality trait. Confidence is something that you can learn. Confidence comes from systems and preparation. That's why I'm talking about it so much, the systems and the preparation, the show flow, the pre-show routines. Confidence comes from knowing what you're doing and having knowledge about what you're doing. Okay? Think about when you walk into a room. Go ahead. You want to say something? Oh, okay. think about when you walk into a room and you don't know anybody, if you're not a really outgoing person and you're scared and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm going to kind of hide in the corner here. Versus after you've been doing that for a while, you walk into the room like you own it. The perfect example to me is when you start a new job. Okay, you start a new job, you're the newbie, you're the one you know is going to get all the sucky work, whatever. But you walk in, you don't know, do I bring my lunch? Do people go out to eat? Do they do bag lunches here? Do they take breaks? When do they take breaks? Where do I sit? Can I eat, have food at my desk? There's all these things you don't know, like the culture, how do I dress? Who's in charge here? What's the pecking order? There's all these things you need to figure out when you start a new job, and you're a little timid and a little scared. But give yourself a couple of weeks and you're like, I own this place, right? You own your show. You don't have to go through that weird awkwardness because this is your show. You designed it. You set the rules. You laid the system and the structure. All right, what am I missing here? Get used to talking to yourself and being comfortable with who you are, 100%. Thank you so much, Ginger. I'm a teacher by day. You're a teacher, so you're already like, you have that persona. And everything you say applies to my teacher. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Excuse me. I have some statistics that you were asking about in terms of the bin listings.
All right, he's going to interrupt my role real quick. Let's go back to these statistics. So, Faye, new buyers do not trust random polls. 91% of new buyers don't trust random polls.
Sorry about the layout. It wouldn't fit on a vertical one.
So Whatnot says do pre-listings.
There's the other one.
Buy it now. There are 2 times more conversion rate per hour from a bin items, and 40% of the sales come from the bin. 40% of Whatnot sales last year came from bin items.
And the last one.
Single most common buyer action.
So basically what they're
saying here.
comparing there is what a buyer would see if they were to look at your shop with random listings with no photos on the left, and then with the listing with photos on the right. So if you were a buyer, you would look to experience this on a shop and you can't see the item, you can't see anything, versus you can see the item and read the description. Which one would you prefer?
So there you go. That's straight from the summit. All right. So structure increases your confidence, you guys. It's having confidence. I lost only 1 off unusual items or merchant. I list only. I can duplicate. It's a win-win. There you go. Yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason. Like, you design your bin the same way any boutique store designs their display window or designs what's on their showroom floor. You design that to fit your business model and what you're doing. I want to talk about
Sassy.
when you have. Oh, thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate that. Having that confidence, having that structure, you get that from knowing what you're selling. I have a whole list here. Knowing what you're selling. Okay. How many people have seen that? I don't know. Should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know what I'm doing. That's not confidence. That's like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I need you to tell me what I'm doing. That's not confidence. Know what you're selling. That exudes confidence. What order are you selling it in? Hello, Bruce. What order are you selling that in? Okay. You don't have to have it all planned out, but you may want to know, hey, these items right here, I'm going to run these first because those are the warm-up items. Here's my bangers. I'm going to run those in the middle of the show. You don't have to go item by item, but have a general idea in what you're doing, on what order you're selling, what you will say and when you're going to say it. No emotional discounts. Exactly. When you start getting nervous, you don't have that confidence in your pricing and your items and what you're saying and doing. Good morning, Mel and Stella. And then people will come in and say, oh, will you reduce this? Or there's no bids happening. Then you start going like this and start dropping prices because now you're not confident enough in what you've set up to begin with, that you're reacting to their lack of bids and dropping prices and cutting your own throat. So the confidence is the base. It's the key to everything. And again, confidence isn't a personality. I hate when somebody says, oh, I'm not a confident person. Okay, get a system. Know what you're doing. That creates the confidence. You can make confidence in yourself. You can, I don't want to say manifest, you build that confidence through system and structure and through understanding and knowledge. Knowing what to say and when you're going to say it. What's my opening? What's my closing? What do I say when a raid comes in? What do I say when somebody asks to promote in my chat and I don't allow promoting? What am I going to say? Think through those things. That show. My husband's like, calm down. I'm like, I'm on a roll. That's confidence, right? Know what to do when you have tech glitches. Guilty as charged. When you have a tech glitch, which we had a glitch so bad Monday night that we tried 2 or 3 times, then we didn't have sound. I ended up switching to my phone. Have plan B. Don't let it rattle you. Don't let it shake you. Okay? Hey, if this goes down, I'm just going to switch. We're going to do this. Are you going to lose a few people in your room? Absolutely. But you keep it going, right? And I came right back on it. And I wasn't like, oh my God, I had tech glitches. I'm so sorry, you guys. No, I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry about those tech glitches. We got the phone going now. Let's keep this show going and keep on going. That's confidence because I had a plan in place. I have a conversation about the difference between confidence and self-worth, but self-worth can affect confidence. Self-worth can, but confidence, self-worth is a whole nother thing. Confidence, you can create confidence. I don't think you can create self-worth. I don't want to go into a whole thing about self-worth, but confidence, you can create it. Do you feel like all info is needed on pre-listings, or is it acceptable to say as shown on screen in the description deals will be discussed? I feel give enough information to make them comfortable pre-bidding. That's my perspective. For me, that means the size of the item and any call-outs. I put 2 or 3 pictures, sometimes not even that. Sometimes I just put 1 picture, and I will put, if there's call-outs, I want to give the people enough confidence to place a pre-bid. So then they get all the rest of the information. Now, keep in mind, I start everything at $1. So $1 pre-bid with $4.50 shipping is a very low barrier to a lot of people. A lot of people are willing to take a risk for a total of $5.50. If you are charging higher prices, if your items start at $15 and you're charging $9 for shipping, guess what? That's $24. It takes a lot more confidence or a lot more trust in you for a buyer to do a pre-bid at $24 than it does for me when they're committing to $5.50. So take that into consideration. You always have to put yourself in the buyer's perspective. If you were that buyer, what would it take you to place a pre-bid on that? And then structure your show in that manner. Structure your pre-listings in that manner. This is also why, Tracy, track day was horrible. We just did track day on, oh no. Yeah, just keep swimming. So you have to always think that they're not just looking at the item, and I've talked about this a million times. It's not the item, it's the item and shipping. Okay, this is why reduced shipping is such a powerful tool in your business. I know people will say, don't do it. It's powerful. If I'm going to sell you this mug, okay, I'm going to do this again. I've done this example before. Everybody, this is a really cool Starbucks mug, barely used. How much is this worth to you? How much would you guys pay for this? Just throw in the chat. I'm not going to auction it. You're not committing to it. I just want to know. What would you pay for this mug? We have a $3. $5.
Now that's my mug.
$10, $20. You're going to pay $20. You're going to buy this mug from me. You owe me lunch, mister. 3 used, 10 new. Okay, so we have around 5 to 10, kind of more leaning towards the 5 side here. I can list this mug for $5, thinking, okay, most people will pay around $5. But it's not just $5. It's $5 and the shipping. If it's $9.21, now this is a $14 mug. How many people in here were willing to pay up to $14? Nobody besides my crazy husband, because he wants the mug back that I constantly steal from him. Okay? You've got to think through these. You've got to think like that in order to see what your buyers are seeing. These are the decisions that are going through their heads. This is why maybe putting a higher priced item, get them over the fear of the shipping, doing lower shipping.
So you have to keep in mind certain things. In this example, if I was to lose that mug has some sentimental value to me. That mug has been in my life for a long, long time. So it survived a lot of things. So if and that was to break and find someone selling a mug that is equal or similar to it, I'm gonna pay up for that because it has that sentimental value. It brings back those memories.
And here's another point that people often miss on Whatnot. This is an auction site, okay? Yes, there's bin listings. Yes, it's a marketplace. This is primarily an auction site. Auctions have the innate concept that the prices are lower. It's like when you go to a garage sale, and I'm not saying we're doing garage sales, I'm just trying to give you an analogy. When you go to a garage sale and they are all eBay prices, you're like, what the heck is going on here? I am not paying $40 for that at a garage sale. This is the same concept. No, auctions are not unique. Go to HiBid, go to any other auction site. They are not starting at the same price that you can buy that item for on eBay, okay? They're starting it at lower because people bid items up. You need, I'm not saying everybody needs to do low starts. I do it because I believe in it, but you at least need to take that concept into consideration and think that through as part of your pricing.
Dan, dollar starts are not easy. You need to have a very high risk tolerance to be able to offer that, and think that in the very first few shows, probably a month, you might end up losing your shirt. As you grow and you build that that following, that audience that might be willing to bid against each other and bring the value up, you might not find some of those people right away. Now, on the other hand, once you establish yourself on that, there's some instances where there might be an item or two that they go for $1, and you have to be okay with it. If you're listing it for that price, you're gonna have to let it go for that price. So you have to keep in mind that this is the law of averages. It's not just one item.
And I'm going to be very honest with you. I do dollar starts. When I first went to dollar starts for probably the first 2 months, and I'm doing shows once or twice a week, I lost money. You need to be prepared to lose money at the beginning. Not everybody is going to be successful right off the bat with dollar starts. I lost a significant amount of money. So you need to understand, either have that risk tolerance, have the reserves to get you through that. It is, and like my husband saying, it is the law of averages. Do I still have things that sell for $1 occasionally? Yep, sure do. But I also have things that get way bid up that outweigh those dollar starts. So I'm 100% for it, because my selling style is to reduce the barrier to entry. I want to remove all barriers to your buying. What's the best way for me to remove barriers? 1, the lowest price possible for you to buy an item to start bidding at. 2, the lowest shipping possible for you to have shipping. I did free shipping for 6 months. I made it as easy as possible. So right now I do $4.50. If the very first item you come into my room and it's $1 start and $4.50, that means your risk is $5.50. That's a pretty reasonable risk that most buyers will take. So while I'm for it, I don't recommend that everybody needs to do it. You need to figure out what works best for you. Keep in mind though, the higher your start prices are, the less bidding there's going to be. I picture it like this. This is the best example I can give. This is everybody in your room, okay? This is everybody who's willing to start to put out $1 to try to get an item, okay? This is all the people that red number in your room. That's at $1 when you started. Then if you make it a $5 start, that circle got smaller. Then it goes to a $10 start. That circle got smaller. Go to a $15 start. Now there's this many people in your room willing to pay $15. Go to a $20 start and it gets smaller. The higher you go, the less of the audience that is going to be willing to bid on that item. Okay? That's a whole psychological concept. For me, I want to make it as easy as possible for the biggest amount of people to be able to get my items. Then the next part of that theory comes in of the phantom ownership. When one person bids, the other person's like, oh, I wanted that. No, I'm going to get it. And they bid. And now we're at $2. And the first person's like, hell no, that's mine. That's phantom ownership. I own that. I already bid on it. Now I'm bidding $3. The second person has phantom ownership. Oh no, buddy, that's mine. and we go on, okay? That's the concept behind the low starts. Melon Stella asked a really good question.
Melinda's time capsule. In my opinion, if you want to start with the reduced shipping first, that way what you're doing is you're training your audience to know that now not only they're going to get a good deal, but also a deal in the shipping. And then as you move along with a couple of shows, what you could do is little by little maybe introduce one item at $1 start as a special. And then you can see how the room reacts with a reduced shipping $1 starts. So give it a couple of shows and then add an item for $1. And then if you see how the room and the audience is reacting to that, maybe you can start thinking about, okay, now I'm gonna reverse it. Now I'm gonna add $1 starts with a little bit of shipping because I'm asking $1 start. And you can see how the audience is responding. Also, you can see your analytics and you can see how that is trending on your end, how much you're investing on paying for the shipping, and how your items are selling. What is your average order value?
I totally agree. If I had to pick $1 starts or reduced shipping, I would do reduced shipping first. 100%. I would do that as my first step, and then try to work on lowering my prices. I want to go back to Dan. I don't think I answered your question fully, and I just want to say one more thing about how do I get past the cost of the items, my cost of goods, when I'm starting at $1. I have very strict inventory rules. I talk about this in a lot of my shows. I have rules about what I buy. So when I look at something, I say, can it fit in a 12 by 12 box? That's one of the rules I ask myself. And I don't source outside of my rules. Can it fit in a box? Can I ship it safely? Is it something that's way too delicate to ship that I don't even want to risk? Can I make enough money on this item? Can I get the value out of it? Is it in a price range that I am comfortable starting at $1? So if I buy something at $15, I know I'm going to start it at $1. Do I feel that the bids would get up over that $15 price range to make it worth my while? If the answer is no to any of those questions, I don't care how good that item is, I don't buy it. So I have a certain price point in my head, somewhere between $10 to $20. If it's lower, wonderful, that I will not go over and start something at $1. Keep in mind though, you will get a lot of people who will start something at $1, but they start their crap. They start their leftovers, they start the chip stuff, they start the broken stuff, they start the stuff that won't sell anywhere else. Well, if it's not going to sell anywhere else, how in the heck do you think it's going to get way bid up when you start it for $1? It's not, it's crap. You cannot sell your crap and expect it to get bid up and then have a successful $1 start show. You've got to give somebody of some value for them to purchase it and bid it up, right? We just did the example with this. I can start this mug at $1, but you just saw people in the chat say it's only worth $5 to $10 to them. I can't expect this to sell for $20. So I have to be confident. Let's go back to confidence. Confident in what I'm buying and what I'm sourcing, that there is value in the whatnot world to bid it up to that. So it takes time, it takes learning those items, but it takes confidence in me, first of all, sourcing it correctly and then bringing it to you and being able to explain the value, because how I sell it to you is going to affect the value that the room is going to put on the item. So I know that was a rant. I hope that answers your question. I get very, very frustrated when people say, you can only do $1 starts if you have 300 people in your room, or if you're a big seller. That's not true. I am a niche seller. I have 45 people here. I don't have 300 people in my room. And my selling shows are usually a little bit smaller than this. And you can still do $1 starts. And so much, I believe in this concept so strongly that I had some of these in the reverse auction. I have stuff like this. I am doing bougie for $1. Very high-end items. Coming up in May, it's already listed. You can go and bookmark and watch it. Very high-end items that I am starting for $1. I have swung vases, I have fairy lamps, some really cool stuff, because I believe so much in the power of $1 start. I haven't heard that from anyone
Jennifer,
else.
Two things I would suggest. I don't know if you've seen Farm LLC with a PH. Farm LLC. I'll throw it in the chat in a minute. she does some kind of bundling system and is being very successful for her. I don't know if she still does it, but it's very interesting to watch it. So if you're doing bundles on your own, there you go. Thank you, Forgotten Memories. If you're doing bundles, yes, go and check her out. She's a very interesting. She has a very interesting concept
Very
in terms
smart.
of bundlings. So I would suggest you do that. Now, the Cozy Old Farmhouse, that red button on the top, it only works on your phone. On the computer, it's not a button.
Okay. I want to ask, who's ever had your mind just go blank on a show? You're selling, and like your mind goes blank, like the Wi-Fi in your brain just cut off. And anybody ever had that happen? All of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, what was I about to say? All right. Here's an idea. Just a suggestion. What not brain? Yes, it's real. What not brain is real. Real. What about a show card? What about something called a show card? Okay. Keep a little note card next to you. I have one here that says ducks in the chat because I always forget to say it. Keep a little card next to you. On the card, write, what is your theme for today? These are the things that are going to keep you going. When that Wi-Fi goes off in your brain, these are the things on your card that's going to help you like quickly pick up that pace and get right back into it so you're not tripping over everything. What's today's theme? 3 talking points. Write 3 things you can talk about. Tie it into what you're selling. Just write 3 things. So then when your mind goes blank and the chat's quiet, you can instantly get it going again. So 3 talking points, 3 reminders, 3 call to actions that you want your people to do. 3 reminders. Hey y'all, don't forget to check out the bin. I've got some really cool stuff. I just loaded up with new things. Or, hey you guys, I got a really cool show coming up. You got to check out the show. I've got a Crazy Creamer show. I really do, y'all. I got a Crazy Creamer show coming up in May. You should bookmark that. It's going to be fantastic. Okay? 3 reminders for yourself. And then you have that right there. That's your get back in the game card, right? Try a show card. If you're kind of like, I'm a little like here, that can help boost your confidence. So now you have a pre-show routine. You know the flow of your show. Now you also have a backup just in case things get quiet, in case you lose your way, that Wi-Fi in your head goes off. Now you got something to get back in the game. This is all going to come through in your confidence. That helps build and show. It shows in your confidence, okay? So, you like that? Cool. I am glad you like that. I mean, I don't have a card. I almost always have some type of notes. This is my show card. This is my confidence builder, right? This is for me when I'm like, okay, what do I say? Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. Okay. Earlier my husband mentioned, I think it was to Jennifer, about being calm, slowing down. I like to go fast. I'm a boom, boom, boom person, but the calm. Calm sellers create a calm room. We've heard a lot of people don't like chaos. Somebody in the chat earlier, and I didn't recognize you, I'm sorry, mentioned how people yell at their chat and all of that. In general, people don't like that. I have never heard somebody say, I love when they yell at me. Oh, I go in there just to get yelled at. Yeah, I've never heard that. Maybe you have. I just never heard it. So people like the calmness. That doesn't mean that there's no excitement. You can have calm and exciting. We're talking about the structure, the organization, the flow. It's moving. You know what's going on, but you're not like anxious and anxiety, right? A calm seller creates the calm room. What's calmness? You explain things clearly. Like my husband said, slow down. Explain the item. Explain. And you don't have to be this monotone, I'm going to put you to sleep now. Everybody get your pillow out and fall asleep to my show. It doesn't have to be like that. You can have excitement and energy and still be explaining things clearly and calmly. I'm just not frantic. There's a difference between frantic and energy, right? You don't rush. You're not like, okay, do the mouse. Okay, do the pen. Okay, do the coffee cup. Show the items. Take your time. You turn it on and fall asleep. There are some of those that are good for that. You answer questions without irritation. This is a big one. I had somebody ask me the other day, kind of mentioned, they're like, you get a lot of the same questions in your chat shows. How does that not irritate you? Because there's different people. You're new. They're a question. I love talking. I love talking about the next thing. I love talking about whatever questions you ask. That's why I'm here. So you'll see sellers, though, who get irritated, who will be like, I've talked about that a million times. Okay? So calm, answer questions. Don't be irritated. Don't be irritated if it doesn't sell for what you want. Like your demeanor, have that good demeanor, right? And you handle hiccups without spinning. This goes back to being prepared. You can handle that tech issue without spinning out. You can handle somebody putting something terrible in your chat without flipping out over it. You can just be like, kick them out, or like, hey, everybody, throw some hearts in the chat. Let's get that chat moving. You have tools at your disposal, calm, collected, prepared, confident to run your show. And that translates into the feeling and the experience your buyers are having, which makes them want to come back. It's okay to repeat yourself. You just want to be conscious of how many. I see some sellers, they're like, red shirt, size small, red shirt, size small, red shirt, size small. I'm like, for goodness sakes, I know it's red and I know it's small. Just tell me something I don't know about the dang shirt, you know? So rewatch your shows. It's a good way. Rewatch your shows and see what's happening. That calm is contagious. Now I want to go back. Forgotten memories. You asked a question about a bomb party sellers. I have zero idea what that is. Please explain to me. Please put in the chat if anybody knows, or forgotten memories. What is a bomb? I actually wrote it down. Bomb party sellers. Tell me what it is, and maybe I have a thought, or maybe I need to go figure out and come back and tell you another time. They sell jewelry hidden in bath bombs. Oh, bath bomb jewelry. Okay, this is new to me. So I have no thoughts on this because I'm going to need to go check out some of these shows. I haven't seen any of them. So I will check out some shows and get some thoughts for you. Pretty good quality jewelry too. Nice. I wonder how those, I guess my first thing that pops in my head is how does that fit in with Whatnot's rules? I would be curious on that. Oh, okay. I'm going to check these out. I wrote it down here. I'm going to check it out, and maybe we'll talk about it on Monday or Wednesday show. Candles with jewelry, that's pretty cool. Oh, they partnered with Bomb Party for international sales. All right. I've got homework. That is my homework, is to research bomb parties. Let's talk about when you're calm, how does that help you increase your sales? Danny boy, welcome in.
Welcome in, Raiders. Grab your hats
Danny
and
Boo,
step into Zoe's treasures, where the relics aren't cursed. They are for sale.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are doing a chat show. We're talking about business. We're talking about structure and systems and being calm, and some of the ways being calm can help you increase your sales in your show. My name's Tracy. My husband's over there is Noel. He does all those cool graphics. Danny Boo, please put in the chat who you are, what you do, what you sell, when your show is. Give us all the details so anybody who likes what they see can follow you. Thank you so much for reading. We're going to do another giveaway too. Let's get another one going. We are giving away CEO affirmation cards. We do not use OBS. My husband uses a bunch of high-tech computer stuff, but a lot of not everything he does can be done with OBS. But that's his background is audio video, so he uses a lot of techie stuff. Okay, what are some ways being calm can actually increase your sales? How about pausing and letting the suspense build, letting your bids build? When you are frantic, when you are going boom, 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 find you a husband like that. Maybe I can rent him. I don't know. That's probably illegal. I think only certain states that's legal. Pause and let the suspense build. Do you know how much can happen in silence? Just take it for a minute. When you're busy, when you have Whatnot on and you're busy doing something like folding your laundry or washing your dishes, and all of a sudden there's no sound, what's the first thing you do? You go like this. You're like, what's going on? Did my phone stop? Did it die? Did they have an issue? It catches your attention, right? Silence is just as powerful as speaking is, okay? Silence is the hard part for a lot of people. When those bids are popping, you don't have to be like, Bob got it. No, now Sally's in the run. Now Sue's getting it. You can just be like, thank you for your bids. And let it build. Let it build, right? You can bring an item on screen. You guys, look at how beautiful this is. There's so much power in that, and you can't do that if you're not calm, okay? So calm can help increase your bids through tools like using silence. When you're calm, you can tell stories. When I'm rushing, when I'm frantic, I can't remember anything. I can't tell you a cohesive story. I'm rabbit trailing down every little hole that there is. But if you're calm, you can look at your little show card, you can look at some talking points, and you can tell stories. You can tell about your items. Stories help increase the value in your items. So you remember things better when you're calm and you're collected. But it's hard to be calm and collected if you don't have the system and structure in place first. Okay? You can talk to the people in your room. When you're calm, guess what? I can focus on the chat. I can sell, but because I'm calm, because I know I have everything else taken care of, I've got my structure, I got my show flow, I can talk to the people in the room. I can make connections to people. Those connections are what make people come back the next time. Okay? I can't do that when I'm frantic. I can't do that when I'm yelling at you. I can't do that when I don't have a system or a structure and I'm too busy looking for the damn tape measure instead of reading the room. Instead of looking at what people are saying and talking to them. We're at this party together.
You're very kind. You're very sweet. Thank you so much. And as you can see, she gets in a rant and she doesn't read the chat. So thank you, guys. Thank you. If you have any questions about technical issues, you can always DM me, and I'm always very happy to help.
Thank you, Jennifer. Crystal made an awesome point here. She was on a 20-minute raid train and was so worried about like being on time and getting stuff sold, she forgot to tell people about her shows. That's pretty important on a raid train, right? So you see how just taking a breath, you will see it, well, you guys won't see it, but on the Reselling Roundtable, I'm the one who always opens the show and says, welcome to the Reselling Roundtable. Well, the back side of that, the background story is, my husband says, okay, I'm going to mute you all, we're running the intro. While that 30-second intro is going, I go, a couple of deep breaths, center, and I'm ready to open the show. Calm translates. Is it best to pin the item, describe, talk about it, then run it, or just pin and run? It depends what you're selling, for one. For me in vintage, I like to pin it because if anybody's not in the room and they have bookmarked it, it gives them a little notification to come in if they're really interested in the item, and then I run it. I also don't run for a very long time. I do 10 to 15 seconds max on running. Make a CEO card that says that. Tape it. There you go. Do it. Absolutely. Take a breath. You also can notice what's happening in the chat. When you are calm, you notice what's happening in the room, right? Not just being able to interact with people, but you can notice, is that vibe decreasing? Is things getting, do I need to switch up something because it's not going? When you're so focused on just selling, like right now, the giveaway's running. And Rohan, congratulations, you got that giveaway. Thank you for being here. When you're so freaking focused on what you're selling that you're just going to sell, you don't pick up on the vibe. You don't know what's happening. And it's yes, absolutely, Jennifer. A calm room is a good room. A calm room to me is an organized room, usually, and the flow is good. So if I'm too busy on okay, here's my cup, blah, 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 I'm not noticing that, I'm doing 10 cups in a row, nobody's bidding on cups because I'm so focused on selling this cup. Well, maybe cups aren't what people want right now. Maybe I need to put the cups aside and go on to my next type of item. If you're not calm, you can't pick up on those clues that are happening. Not just what people are saying to you in the chat and not just answering them, but what's happening in the room as a whole. If you're not calm, you don't see those things. And you're missing a huge selling opportunity in those moments because you could cater more to the people that are in your room. All right. When you're stressed or when you're too anxious, you're rushing your items. We talked about how that's not good. You under-explain. All right, you guys, it's a brown Starbucks cup. Run, go. Versus, all right, you guys, this is a brown Starbucks cup. Do you know that they made this in 2002 and it's highly collectible? There's a huge difference in that. It didn't take me much longer, but there's a huge difference in the value that was just created between those two things. Yeah, I read the chat out loud. Do you know why I read the chat out loud, Jennifer? Is because it recognizes the people in the room. It gets you involved. And the more I say your name, the more you feel involved in my show. It's just people like to hear their names.
Not only that, also, and at times I'm doing something else and I have a show going, and I'm not really paying attention to the chat. If the host is reading the chat and is answering questions, and I hear something I'm interested in, I'm more likely to turn around and pay attention to what's going on the show instead of just continue doing what I'm doing. So if you're reading, if you're talking, if you're interacting, it's easier for me to, if I'm distracted, just listening, just to come back and focus on what's happening at the moment.
It makes a connection. It also is a way of thanking you for being in the room. There is a high volume of sellers that are also buyers in the rooms. So the more I say your name, the more people hear it. This is why they say go into rooms and be active in the chat. Be social, right? Not be a nuisance, but be social, be active. So the more I say Jennifer, people are looking and to see, oh, who's Jennifer that keeps talking? Oh, she was funny. Oh, she made a good comment. Maybe I should follow her. So while I might not be saying, hey, everybody, go follow Jennifer, she's a great seller, I'm implying here's a person who's active in my room, who's engaging with me, which then makes you interesting to other people. So it's not, there's a part of it that's about me, there's a part of it that's about selling, there's a part of it that's done for community, there's a part that's done for, people listening, not watching. Also, sometimes people are not watching it, and just listening. And so it kind of brings everybody in. It's a very inclusive. Again, engagement is not about the act of what you're doing. Engagement is about including the people in the experience of your show, okay? Saying somebody's name is a form of engagement. A lot of people think engagement, go ahead.
On that note, I agree, Auntie Barbie. Yes, absolutely. I do that often. And thank you, Danny Boo 75. So for bringing your people over here.
All right. I want engagement is, a lot of people miss it. A lot of people think engagement is what I have to do. It's not. It's not, being loud, being quiet, doing this, doing that. I like to say it's not standing on your head and doing cartwheels. It's how am I involving you in what's happening? That's engagement, okay? Finally, the last thing, and this is pretty important to everybody, sustainability requires systems. So you may have all the motivation in the world to do a good show. You may be like, I am in for it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to have a great show and to make money at this business. That's motivation. That's not a business plan. Motivation and business plans are two completely different things. So in order to be sustainable, takes more than just the desire to do it right, okay? You can listen to all the talk shows, you can read all the books, hear all the things, buy all the PDFs. That's motivation. That's like, okay, I'm just getting knowledge and stuff. That's not sustainability. That's your problem. That's right, that's your problem. It's not how to be sustainable. Sustainability requires a repeatable systems. If you want to sell consistently without burnout, D, the Vintage Saver, congratulations, you got that giveaway. If you want to sell consistency without burnout, you need to make systems. You need repeatable systems. Why? Because even if you want to be at a certain level, like we talked the other day about, hey, I'm happy where I'm at, I don't have growth plans, I have maintenance plans. Even if you're maintaining, you still need systems, because what does that do? It frees up your time to focus on other things that you want to focus on. It frees up your time to enjoy the money that you're making. So you still need systems. And if you want to grow, you need systems that are repeatable, because growth requires eventually expansion. You can't expand when you're the only one who knows how to do it, because you don't have a system in place. When somebody asks you how to do something and you say, oh, hold on, it's in my head, I'm gonna have to show you because I do this, but wait a minute, I go over here and I do this. That's not a system. That's you having to do everything. And let me tell you, if you want your business to grow, you can't do everything. You need systems. You need to be able to say, oh, you want to know how to set up for the show? Here's a list. You do these things and this sets you up for the show. Then you can say, oh, okay, here, I need you to go set up the show and I'll come down and start it in a minute, okay? Sometimes scaling down is needed to scale up. Absolutely. Sometimes you need to take a look around you and say, what I'm doing isn't working. Wipe it all away and start fresh. And I'm not saying get rid of your business and start all over. What I'm saying is, this isn't serving any purpose. I need to get rid of this and do it this way instead. So systems that we see on Whatnot, really quick, because I want to get into talking a little bit about the tax topic today. Some of the systems you're going to see on Whatnot, your inventory staging. How do you put your stuff out? Your listing. How do you list stuff? What's the process you go through? How can you make it more efficient? How can you make it better? Shipping routines, sourcing, show flow templates, pre-show, post-show. What's happening in my show? Yeah, exactly. It's just me and my husband. We don't have a big team. It's me and my husband. I employ every tool I can and every system I can to make it as easy as possible. I say it's me and my husband. My daughter is we're training her on shipping. My 15-year-old, she's starting to learn shipping. So we're just now at the point where I finally went to my husband and said, I cannot grow any further without reducing the time I'm spending shipping. So we got to that point where I said, I need somebody to help with shipping. And that was a logical solution for us. I just rebooted my system, still working on it, but yes, I had to stop and reconfigure. There you go. That's what Sassy says. Yeah. One of the things we talk about, y'all, come see the final CEO Challenge Showcase on Tuesday night. One of the final challenges that our CEOs participants had to do was to decide what's one new system that they're keeping and what's something that didn't serve them that they had to get rid of. They're going to tell you about it. So they open up their businesses to talk to you about what's working and what's not. The final showcase is Tuesday night. Real quick, if you have not heard about our CEO Challenge, let me show you what it is real quick.
Six sellers growing,
There's our sellers.
learning, building. Through weekly challenges, building a business, not just a show. Welcome to the CEO Challenge.
All right. Thank you, Forgotten Memories. So Forgotten Memories says, highly recommend reaching out for season 2. We will be running season 2 in July. But if you have not experienced the CEO Challenge yet, send me a DM. We'll get you a link so you can see the at-home materials so you can do it in your business. And come Tuesday night and watch the final showcase of our sellers and hear them talk about it. Good morning. Did you send me a message? Awesome. I'll take a look. Visuals. Thank you. I know I have systems. Don't know that I could tell you through them. I need to get them down. Absolutely. In order to grow, you have to have repeatable systems. I don't know how I missed you, Crystals. You missed it. Well, check it out Tuesday night. It is the final showcase night, but we're going to wrap it up. Each seller is really going to be talking over the last 5 weeks, what worked, what didn't, how their business improved, and things are keeping and things are changing, and they're going to sell some stuff. So, all right, sustainability. We talked about that. I just want to go back to systems really quick. I want to relate it. I love to try to relate our business stuff to real life things to make it really easy to understand. Think about it like this. You can spend every Sunday doing 8 hours of laundry, right? You can have that heroic laundry day. It is, the mountain of laundry that you do. Or you can have a system where every day you throw a load in, you switch a load out, and it never piles up. It's just a system. It just happens in the background. You're just doing it, right? So who's going to get our giveaway? Did it just run? No, it's running right now. I saw it go 0 for the longest time. Auntie Barbie, congratulations, you're getting that giveaway.
Congratulations.
So quick question, because this is one of the things our CEO participants were doing. If you guys could optimize, make one part of your business better than it is, what part would it be? Like quick answers, like shipping, sourcing. What would you do? What is one part of your business that you're like, man, I can make this better? Inventory, shipping, making the time to go live is super important. Setting up, organization, book work. See, and it's not going to look the same to all of us. This is proof right here. There's multitudes of answers. It's what you need for your business. And you get one system in place and then you're like, oh, now I can focus on something else. This is the type of stuff that makes me excited about business. All right. We have talked a lot. Wow, I've been on for a while. We're going to go ahead. I want to quickly touch on using the bin. Yeah, utilizing all the tools. Whatnot has so many tools, so many ways to set yourself apart. It's phenomenal, the resources you have at your fingertips to make you a unique seller here. Use them. Go read about them. Spend some time looking through help.whatnot.com, learning about it, and just get your cup of coffee or whatever you drink. Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer. That is so sweet. I appreciate that. Get your cup of coffee or whatever you like to drink and just brainstorm. Just think about ideas. Where could your business go? If you had unlimited money, unlimited resources, where would you want your business? Where do you see it in a year? If you had everything available to you, where is your business in a year? Okay, so you get that vision in your head. Now you say, okay, obviously we all have constraints. I have limited resources and it's only me. Of this grand vision I have, what is doable? Of this grand vision, what is one thing in that vision I can actually do on my own? Make it happen. Improve the business. Okay? Let's switch over. Getting out of your head. Yeah. Let's switch over to talk about our tax topic. So if you're somewhat new to us, we do about an hour of business, which we talked about system, structure, confidence. And now we're going to talk a little bit about a tax topic. I get excited about it because there's just so much possibilities. Don't get freaked out like, oh my God, tax, I got to go. I hate tax. We're not really talking numbers here. We're going to talk a little bit of a theory. We bring a little topic here just to help you understand your own business better. This is about growing as a business, right? So today we're going to talk about the difference between supplies and equipment. Surprisingly, these two things get mixed up a lot. So the biggest difference is, I love my career. I really do love what I do. So the biggest difference is supplies is something you're going to use pretty much right away or in a very short time period. So we're talking tape, bubble wrap, labels, right? Those type of things. Equipment is something that's going to last. You're going to use it over and over and over again. There's reasons why we want to really understand why these two things are different and then why that's important and how to classify them separately to affect our taxes and our bottom line. So because how you classify them can drastically change how much tax you're paying. So it's kind of important on the front end to know what you're doing so you don't get kind of like screwed on the back end, right? So supplies are consumable. We just talked about that. Equipment last. So supplies, you're using up, you're replacing. Labels, tape, packing, boxes. Equipment, you're using over and over. So think label printer, bubble wrap machine when you're making your own bubble wrap, your postage scale, your iPads, your cameras, your phones. That's equipment. Handled very differently than the things that are consumable that you're using over and over. I always want to give you guys resources. I have a ton of PDFs in there that dive into all of these different types of details, but 99% of my information comes from the IRS. You have that resource at your fingertips for free. Not that, I don't want to cut my own throat. Feel free to buy my stuff. But you can also go to www.irs.gov and get all the same information and weed through it and read it. Today, what we're talking about today comes from, there's a publication called Business Expenses. Tells you all about your business expenses. That's 535. And there's another one that talks about depreciating property. So there's two publications out there that really kind of form the basis of what we're talking about. I just always like to make sure that you guys know where you can get it for free if you are the type that likes to do your own research. So classification affects your deduction. So we talked about this just a minute ago. I said if you say it's a supply versus an equipment, it's going to affect what you pay at tax time at the end of the year. Supplies are deducted all at once. Okay, everybody uses this word and I hate it. This is like I even say it sometimes, but I don't like it. The word write-off. Everybody's like, oh, it's okay, that's a write-off. You can write that off. That's a business write-off. I'm like, oh, don't say that every time I hear it. Why? The word write-off, when somebody says, oh, that's a write-off, it makes it sound like you're not spending money. It makes it sound like it's free money for some reason. Skittles Treasures, congratulations, you got that giveaway.
Congratulations.
It's not free money. It's your money. It's your money you're spending. I don't care if it's a write-off or not. What a write-off means is it is a tax deductible expense. It's money you're spending that also reduces your taxes. That's what write-off means. So I try to use the words deductible expense because to me that's truer to what it is and it gives a better impression that this is money that you are actually spending, but in the end it does also reduce what you pay in tax. So supplies are deductible all at once. Anything you buy for supplies are tax deductible. You put them on your return, reduces the amount that you pay. Equipment is often what we call capitalized and depreciated. So just because I spent $2,000 on a fancy computer doesn't mean that's a $2,000 write-off. That means a portion of that is deductible in this year and next year and the year after that and the year after that. It's not the whole thing, and it's often misrepresented in the way it's put out there. Now, there's special rules where it could be all in one year. There's a lot of little tax nuances I'm not going to get into. It's the general concept. It gives me an option of, yes, that's, so Jennifer, what you're referring to is one of these special rules called Section 179. It does give you the option. But in using that option, what you are doing is you're not matching the expense to the use of that item. So if you got, say, a $2,000 laptop and you're going to use it for 3 years, that's the life of the item. I would take a third this year, a third next year, and a third the final year. I'm then matching my expense to the use of that item. So it's more true to what's happening in the business. Sometimes that you want to do it that way. Sometimes you want to take all $2,000 up front. Depends on your tax situation. If I have a huge gain this year, I made a lot of money, but next year I'm looking to make less money, I might want to take it all. I might want a Section 179 this year to reduce my taxes because I'm not going to make much money next year. It's all part of the tax planning. So understanding the concept, that's why I'm not getting really into how do you plan. I just want to understand the concept so that I can think it through intelligently when I classify it, when I buy it. Yep, it helps spread it out, exactly. So think about it like this, just another real life analogy. Light bulbs in your house, that would be a supply, but a new furnace, that would be equipment. So something you consume versus something you use over and over. A $25 tape gun gets classified as supplies, whereas a $600 camera is equipment. A lot of people will lump everything together. I actually have three. I'm going to probably go through these examples and kind of shorten the rest of it. 3 real life cases from the IRS I was going to tell you about. So instead of me just giving you analogies and kind of like saying this is what it means, I actually have 3 real life scenarios that came from the IRS to give you. Yeah, see, and it's just understanding the concepts. You don't have to know all the nitty gritty because that's what you depend on your tax person for, is to know the nitty gritty, but you know enough to start asking about it and having those conversations. So the first real life example that came from an IRS audit, it was a small online seller, so like a lot of us, and they deducted thousands and thousands of dollars under supplies. They got audited. Turns out most of those supplies were equipment, okay? Most of those supplies were computers, cameras, furniture, shelving, things like that. What happens in a case like that? They deducted all of those as supplies in the current year and reduced their taxable income. Well, the IRS during their audit came back and said, those aren't supplies, that's equipment. We're only going to allow you to take a small portion of it. Now, they get audited, they have a tax bill because that now it doesn't reduce their taxable income. Now they got to pay tax on this, and they get to pay interest on the money that they should have paid to begin with because they didn't do it right. So that's one real case that happened, okay? Because they didn't categorize the correct way. Fidgets, they do stay in the office over the course of time, but I don't keep track of that. Should I spend? No, because the other thing we want to look at for equipment, there's a couple rules that I haven't touched on yet. For equipment, it has to have a life greater than a year, and we're usually looking at something that cost, you make up your own. Here's the thing. When you're looking at if it's equipment, it has to have a life greater than a year, for one. The second item is you look at the price you paid. The IRS has a standard safe harbor threshold of $2,500. Most businesses will go with the threshold. That means if it costs more than $2,500 and it has a life expectancy, I can't say the word.
Expectancy.
There you go. Of greater than a year, it's equipment and it gets depreciated. Rosalind, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. That's the safe harbor for IRS. Means if you're using $2,500, you're okay. Under $2,500, even if it has a life expectancy longer than a year, you can make it a supply and you're safe in the eyes of the IRS. Now that $2,500 is just kind of the IRS is like, in absence of you deciding as a business, we're going to allow this number. Technically, every business owner needs to decide the appropriate threshold for their business. If look at your business. If what we're buying, shelving, that's a fixed asset, that's a equipment. If what I'm buying never exceeds $2,500 probably is too high for me as a business, because the equipment that I'm buying for this is going to be far different than how much money a boutique, a brick and mortar store is going to spend, right? We may be selling the same stuff, but the expenses are very different. So I need to have that threshold that's relevant to my business. Right? So it may be $500 for you, or it may be $1,000. So you think about through what it is, and then you write it down. That's your depreciation. Thank you. That's your policy, and then that's what you go by moving forward. And then if you're ever audited, the IRS then respects that policy. Good morning, Thrift Chick Boutique. I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, ask a question. I'll clarify it. But I think it does. The second example of a real life audit that happened that I wanted to tell you about is it's a personal laptop example. So a small business owner, no different than most of us, claimed their personal laptop, the whole expense. They bought the laptop. They claimed it on their taxes as a supply. They said, hey, the 100% business use, I'm going to use this. The IRS came back and said, do you own any other laptops? No, you don't. Do you do your personal stuff on that? It's not 100% deductible. It's only whatever portion is actually used for the business. Real life example that happened in an audit. If I bought a cabinet for my booth, should that be equipment or supplies? If it is priced, but I have used it for almost a year. If you're selling it, it's inventory. If you have a price tag on it and it is for sale, it is inventory. If it says NFS, not for sale, and it's your fixed asset, it's a piece of furniture, and obviously a cabinet lasts for more than a year and it exceeds the threshold you have set for your business, then it's depreciable property. Then it's equipment. Depreciable property, equipment, same thing. I'm using those words synonymously. If you only use it for your business. Again, you've got to go back. Now, if you bought it for, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Let's just say you bought that cabinet for $50 and it's going to last longer than a year. But you say, as a business, any equipment I buy over $500 with a life greater than a year is going to be depreciable. Well, you bought a cabinet for $50. It doesn't meet that qualification. You can then consider that a supply. So you see there's a line there, that once you cross that line, it becomes equipment. You set the bar based on your business and similarities to other business and look at what you're spending. So for me, it's like $1,000. Anything over $1,000 to me is depreciable equipment. To me, that's something that I need to match up. I need to depreciate over the course of time. I don't normally spend $2,000-$3,000 on equipment, but to spend $1,200, $1,500 on a camera for us is normal. So for us, it's $1,000. So if I buy a cheap iPad for $400, I'm just going to write that off. That's a deductible expense. But if I buy a fancy computer for $2,500, that's a depreciable property. I have set that limit at $1,000, and I stick to it religiously when I'm doing my bookkeeping, so that if I'm ever audited, I can say, here it is, here's the reasoning, this is the policy I'm going by. And because it's under the IRS threshold, the IRS safe harbor of $2,500, I'm safe in my policy. For a group, it was $300. So go back and look at where you're at, and you've got to set that policy. In absence of a policy, the IRS will use $2,500. So if you're like, look, that's a lot, Tracy, I don't want to figure it out, you can always revert to what the safe harbor, that's a safe number the IRS gives you. They specifically call them safe harbors of $2,500. So you can just be like, look, I'm going with what the IRS says, $2,500 is the limit, and you'll be safe. All right. The next one, the final example from a real life audit. Huge deductions. Yes, Southern Charm, it's per item. So the next example was this seller or this person business took big deductions, like a lot of supplies, tons of deductions, but they had very little sales. So thousands and thousands of dollars of expenses, very little sales. So that raised, how do tools fall into this? I'm a carpenter. Tools are the same way. So like a hammer, even though you might have a hammer for 10 years, if not longer, you probably spent $40 on it. that's a supply. But if you bought a fancy drill or saw or something like that, that may be above that threshold where then that becomes a depreciable expense. Okay. So they had a lot of deductions, very little sales. That was a red flag. They got audited because there was a mismatch there. The IRS looked at this and they're like, how can you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on supplies and you only made $2,000 or whatever the number was? How is that possible? So that was a red flag. They got audited. That one turned out okay. That case, there was no additional fees. Because in a first year of a business, that could be a very realistic thing. Your first year in business, you can be buying a lot of stuff and not making money. But if it's your third, fourth, or fifth year in business and you're taking huge deductions and making no money, that could be a sign of a question to the IRS. Doesn't mean it's an automatic audit. No, I'm just saying that is something that the IRS did look at in this case. Consistency too, and I love that you guys are asking questions like, what about this? What about this? I love that. Oh, wow, in the new custom motorcycle. So you're going to put out a lot of money out front, particularly with something like that. Consistency matters more than perfection. I say this a lot to many different things, and it is true in a lot of different scenarios. One mistake usually isn't that big. You make one mistake, the IRS is probably going to be like, okay, if you got audited, they'd be like, that's okay, you misclassified it, give us another $20, you're fine, whatever it may be. One mistake isn't a bad thing, but inconsistent habits are the bad thing. So honesty with the mistake, don't worry about it. Not having a habit, not trying to understand, and being ignorant to it by purposely not trying to do it properly, that's the problem. So being consistent is better than being perfect, than better having the perfection. Okay, my husband's like, I've got a meeting pretty soon. You better hurry up and finish your show. We got time though. So making sure you're documenting is what you need to do. There is a really good IRS publication. Misclassification, that's where I get lost. I feel like things can go. They can. You need to be consistent. So consistency, again, beats perfection. So if you're doing it the same every time, you're doing better than just whatever, I'm just going to throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks, right? There is a really good IRS publication I would highly recommend. Is it a little bit like to read? Yeah, it'll probably put you to sleep. But it is called Starting a Small Business and Keeping Records. It is publication 583. Can you put that in the box for me? It's IRS publication 583. This is a publication put out by the IRS, and it talks about starting your business and how to keep proper records. So I talk about this 583. I talk about it all the time, but if you're like, I like to see something in print and read, and that's how I learn best, I highly recommend. It's a really good one to get a good understanding of that. My purse got stolen with all of your work receipts. Can I claim my expenses based on your bank statement? Yes, you can, Skittle. Absolutely. Bank statements and credit card statements are a valid form for IRS documentation. The only thing with that is if the store you bought from, the vendor you bought from, if it's questionable, if it's confusing, make a little note on your bank statement on what the business purpose was. I always use the example of going to Walmart to get boxes. Think about it, put yourself in the shoes of the IRS. If you see Walmart on a credit card receipt, how do they know you're not buying candy bars, but you're really buying boxes? Like, they don't know that. So if it's something that could be confused, always make sure you put the business purpose, put a note for it. So when in doubt, there you go. 583, starting a business and keeping records. It's just a really good one that kind of gives a lot of the same information I talk about all the time. Thank you. When in doubt, when you're looking at classification between supplies or equipment, the main question you ask yourself is, how long am I going to use this? And how much did I pay for it? 2 questions, I guess, not one. How long am I going to use this for? So usually if it's less than a year, it's supplies. Over a year, it's typically equipment. That's kind of a rule of thumb. But again, then you can look at the price you paid for it. And good habits, let's just go back to systems. We're going to tie this to our business thing. Systems, structure, habits. Good habits make it easier. Classify on a regular basis. Separate personal and business expenses. Label your receipts. We just talked about labeling. Set a standard bookkeeping time. Y'all, this is so hard to figure out if you go back 6 months later and you're trying to figure it out. At a minimum, do it once a month. I recommend at least weekly, but at a minimum, do it once a month. Set a standard time. Get a habit, just like the laundry. You can do this mammoth laundry day, and it's a pain in the butt, or you can just have a habit where you're doing little pieces throughout time, like regularly, once a day, once a week, once a month. That's going to make a huge difference at the end of the year for you. When I first found you, you talked about inventory write-offs versus not. I promise I listened, but would love a refresher on a show. Absolutely. I can't see my list when I'm live, but definitely we will do a new one. We'll do another one coming up soon. You guys, you can also take a look. I wish I can see this. I don't know if I can see it. I'm going to pin this one. If you click on this listing here on the screen, there's pictures of all the topics I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the year. I will check and see if there's an inventory one coming soon. I just can't look at it immediately while I'm on the show. But there is a whole list. It's in the pictures. Picture 2 and 3 is the list of the rest of the year. Okay. So good habits prevent that miscalculation. And that's really it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but it's understanding the difference between supplies and equipment. Equipment is capitalized. You take a piece every year of the life of the equipment. The IRS actually has a table of standard life expectancies. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with that word. So for like
expectancy.
Oh no, Green 13 is selling t-shirts. We need to go run quick. All right, we are going to go raid him in a minute. But my husband's like opening up. I've been trying to get one of his Libra shirts. I'm a Libra, and I've been trying to get one of his shirts for a while. You tried to tag him. Thank you. He's over there going into a show to get me a shirt. We're going to go raid him so you guys can get shirts too. But you know what? I was supposed to do a CEO card for today, and I do not have it in front of me. And I didn't write it down, and I didn't follow my own show rules of being ready with my CEO affirmation. So I'm going to read you one from a prior week, and we're going to go with that. Do you recommend a certain app software or for bookkeeping? Superman, I recommend what you're going to use. Again, consistency beats perfection in this case. So if you're techie and you like software and you're going to use an app on a regular basis, QuickBooks, My Reseller Genie are great apps. If you're like, that's overkill, I don't need that, and I'm really good with pencil and paper, do pencil and paper. So pick a system that you're going to use on a consistent basis. That's always my recommendation. I do want to say, you guys, I choose as a CPA not to back any software. I will never make an agreement with QuickBooks, My Reseller Genie, any software, because I don't want to ever seem biased, like I'm pushing it because I have a vested interest in something. What I'm going to tell you is going to be, you need to choose what works for you, and I will give you pros. They can hear, honey. You want to turn Jeremy down? Thank you. Thank you, Southern Charm. I'm going to give you the pros and cons on different things, and then you need to pick what works best for you. So I get that question a lot, and I know my answer is kind of vague, but that's the reason I'm kind of vague about it. Flipwise, I've never heard of Flipwise. I'll need to check that out there. I usually quote QuickBooks and Reseller Genie just because they're very popular and they're always in my head. But okay, I'm going to read our CEO affirmation. And
sorry about that. I had my microphone on.
We're going to go raid. We're going to raid Green 13, so hopefully he's still selling shirts. And y'all, thank you so much. Nope, he's not. He's not selling shirts. But what is he selling today? He has left me. He's gone. He's in Green 13 mode. So we're going to go see him and see what he's selling. But let me. Yeah, he's invested in that. Yes. Our CEO affirmation: I know my numbers. Clear records remove fear and replace it with control. That was from week 9. So normally I read this week's, but this is what we get today. I know my numbers. Clear records remove fear and replace it with control. And with that, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Let's go raid Green 13, and y'all have a great weekend. Don't forget my glow show tomorrow if you like glowy glass.
The boss wanted a shirt, so I had to go in. Sorry.
Thank you, Superman. We're also on YouTube. You can catch us same name on YouTube.
Have a good day, everybody.